Okay, welcome to session 2 of the Lorford Campaign. Um, we're going to pick up from where we left off last time. I'm going to let the players introduce themselves, tell us a bit about the characters, and then we'll do a recap and go from there. So I'm going to go left to right on my screen. So Aaron, you're first.
Okay, hi, my name is Aaron Synoc. I am playing the gnome rogue Lyndall Wylock, and he is, for those who haven't seen the last session, he basically thinks of himself as the greatest detective in the world, but nobody knows what a detective is in this fantasy world. So he's currently the only detective in the world as far as he's concerned. Yeah, he's an observant, inquisitive little rogue.
Excellent. Gnome too, I believe. Dennis.
My name is Dennis, and I play Snowball, white dragonborn cleric, who is the bodyguard of Lyndall, who saved her from wicked slavery, and since then she has been compelled to pay off her blood debt to him.
Excellent. John Poland.
Sorry. I am John Poland, obviously. Rob just said it. I am playing the greatest magician in the universe, Dolan Oerth II, master of magics, perceptions, arcanum, pretty much just the greatest there is. And he'll let you know. That's all you need to know.
A lot of greats in this party. John Larch.
I am playing Yambagorn, the half-orc paladin, born of a, shall we say, not satisfactory encounter between elves and orcs during the raidings of several orc tribes on an elven settlement, having lost his mother and been ostracized by the rest of his people who saw too much of their attackers in his blood and in his features. He wandered the forest friendless until he was taken in by an elven druid, Vermeer. This druid realized that the half-orc could never really truly tame the wildness in his blood, but instead he trained him to be a defender of the natural forests. And he was rewarded for his sterling efforts when he received, or as far as he's concerned, received a holy book that he carries with him, that he believes he received from his deity, Maliki. He now believes that protecting this book and the forest is the duty that his deity has set him. And he travels with his colleague, the elf, Danver, who has saved his life on a number of occasions. And now he finds himself with this strange group of people, these great detectives, great magicians, etc. And he's just a person who struggles with his anger issues, trying to do the best he can in the world. And he's just come across what he thinks is a fabulous opportunity to slip onto a possibly cursed suit of armor.
Also shown signs of cannibalism too. So in our last session, the 5 of you met up. You had met before. A few of you were in pairs before, but you had met up. You were called together by Lyndall. He had received a letter from a Bertram Welfer asking that when it's convenient for you, make your way up to Burnsley. My wife's gone missing. He didn't seem to be in a particular rush about it. You left the large port city, Port Withal, traveling towards Burnsley. On the way, you found past the Garden of the Gods, which was a giant garden, garden of giant flowers, and there were some wasps in there. There was a girl was trapped in there, and you helped to rescue her. The herbalists thank you for this. I believe they even gave someone a potion of healing. You came to a fork where you could have gone over the mountain or through the mountain. You chose to go through the mountain. In a canyon about halfway through, you found a set of full plate armor lying on some rocks, seemingly fallen from above. There was a smushed body inside. You guys cleaned it out. And Yamagorn actually tested to see if it was cursed and got a rather ambiguous response to whether it was or not. You took it with you. You continued on. You met a farmer named Ebb. Ebb wanted you to look into some ogres who had been stealing his sheep. Ebb's a sheep farmer, and he claimed that they had also injured his wife Flo. But you found out that was not true, that he had actually run her over accidentally, and that was what had done harm to Flo, and he was trying to garner more sympathy from you guys to go and deal with the ogres. Despite catching him in his lie, you guys agreed to go deal with these ogres, and you were about to set out to find these ogres. However, before that, Yamagorn was about to don this full set of plate mail that seemed completely undamaged, despite apparently falling from a great height. So that's where we're going to begin. You're on the fields outside of Ebb's farm. There are sheep here and there, kind of scattered about. You've just caught Ebb in his lie, and he fessed up, but still asked for your help, and you have agreed to it. So we're going to begin there. So Yamagorn, you're looking at this armor, and you think it's probably going to fit you, despite your large size. Anybody jump in as you see fit?
Indeed. So I'll be sort of shrugging off my furs, etc. I take my sword off, place it sort of within arm's reach, and I just start like basically taking all my top layers of clothing off so that I can put this armor on. I've got no real shame about the fact that I'm pretty much stood there in a loincloth, whatever. And I'll just be slowly sort of taking all this off, so giving the armor a bit of a look over. Like you say, I think it's probably going to fit me, but I'll just be looking at the arrangements of like leather straps, etc. on it. Sort of, I'm not really used to wearing full metal armor, so I'll just be sort of looking at it, making sure I know how I'm supposed to put it on, etc.
Snowball will help him, and while she's helping
it'll take you a good 10 minutes.
She's gonna use her spear to kind of pick up his foul clothing and put it into a sack, and his pants into the sack, and she'll throw in some of the flowers she picked up and close the sack. And as he's helping him with the straps, he will also put in some flowers between the cracks in the armor to kind of make him smell a little better.
Yeah, you gotta help him adjust the straps and stuff.
I take this an entirely different way. I'm not concerned about the no doubt beautiful fragrance of these flowers whatsoever. But as far as I'm concerned, you're bringing the wilderness like into this armor. You're making it like part of the wild. So I just sort of like nod approvingly, even though I've got entirely the wrong end of the stick, and carry on to like putting the armor on with the aid of Snowball saying, "Thank you. Yes, just pass me that bit over there. Yeah, yes. I think that plate goes on here, and I'll be strapping myself in."
Yeah, the more pieces he puts on, the farther Dolan has stepped back away from him.
Sure.
I do think perhaps you may not want to wear that, or perhaps this is not the time to test new types of armor when we may be facing an ogre. I'm just saying, and I'll take another couple steps back.
At this point, I sort of turn to you, like having half already put it on, and just like raise an eyebrow. I said, well, if we're going to confront these ogres, despite what the farmer may have said, and whatever damage they may or may not have done, we need to make sure that we use all of the gifts that the gods have provided to us in order to overcome these creatures. And, well, you don't get more literal than protection falling from the heavens.
Right, but that didn't quite protect him, right? And you do know there are evil gods as well as good gods. I'm just throwing it out there.
His loss is our gain. Yes, you are right. Of course, there are evil gods. There are good gods, if you wish to call them that. But the good and evil is such a ridiculous concept out in the wild. It's all about hunter and prey. It's not about who is good and who is evil. People do what they need to do in order to survive. That is the true way of things. That is what Maliki teaches us.
Right. No, he is right. We must take what is given and this armor was given to us. And she kind of straps in one of the straps a little. Yeah.
Oh, steady there, Snowball. A little bit tight around that.
And you know, might actually help him not have bleed to death again. And she kind of on the chest with her fist.
There might still be a faint scent. I know you did some washing to it, but there might still be a faint scent of blood on the inside. Lyndall, do you have any thoughts on the matter, or what's going on?
Lyndall is not necessarily familiar with the idea of enchanted armor or enchanted objects. The arcane nature of this. When he sees the closest thing we have to an expert, which is Dolan, sort of take issue with this, or at least stand back. He kind of like stands back with him, but Lyndall at this point doesn't feel that he has enough knowledge to discourage or encourage the half work, other than the fact that it seems to be nice armor, and if it's going to help the half work help Lyndall, then he's totally okay with it.
Okay. So it takes you about 10, maybe 15 minutes adjusting straps and fitting things. And you get this armor in place. Even the helmet fits. Although there's a moment, Yamagor, when you think the helmet might have grown a little bit to accommodate you.
I'll sort of like take the helmet off, and I'll be sort of doing that thing where, you're sort of testing it, and I'll take it off, and I'll sort of look at it for a few moments, and then I'll be thinking, we did believe it to be magical. Okay, I'm sure this is fine. Nothing to worry about. What sort of helmet is it?
It's like the full bucket kind of helmet with like the little.
Okay, in which case, what I'm going to do is, because I don't want to restrict my vision. I know it's not really covered in the game mechanics, but I don't want to restrict my vision. I want to be able to talk to my companions without my voice.
You flip the thing up.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm effectively going to like sort of fasten the helmet onto my sort of belt at my side and just wear like the rest of the suit without the helmet.
Okay. Okay.
And then I'm thinking, if we get into a situation where it's needed, I can unclip it and.
You got it. It seems pretty solid.
So yeah, I'll be doing a few things, banging my shield and like the haft of my sword that I'll pick up on it, flexing like the gauntlets and just sort of giving it a bit of a once over.
From everything you know about armor, it's a very good set of armor. It's well made.
And it's full plate armor, is it?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Greaves, the whole bit. All right, so you're all decked out now.
At this point, Lyndall, seeing him now fully donned in armor, he says, "Well, you certainly cut a fine image in that suit. It suits you well. You look rather more put together than usual."
Thank you.
You guys would remember that Ebb, while not knowing exactly where the ogres are, suggested that they were about 2-hour walk to the west. There's some caves, he said, but he's not sure.
Well, shall we press on in the direction of these caves that the farmer spoke of? I have some ability with tracking, albeit one of the downsides of this armor. I'll sort of like loudly like flex my arm again. I'm not exactly going to be of the quiet and stealthy persuasion, not like I was anyway. But yes, if there are tracks about, perhaps we will find more of them the nearer we get to these caves that Farmer Ebb spoke of.
So first of all, to give you perspective, so the road is about a mile to your east right now. Burnsley is to the northeast, about a half a day's travel, and about 2 hours to the west are some caves, supposedly, where these ogres are. Tracks-wise, the last time the ogres were here was a week ago, so while you found the odd tracks here and there, you can't find many, but you can find plenty of sheep tracks in the soft grass. The hills are sort of rolling, grazing hills, like with grass and stuff.
Well, I believe if we're going to make our way to these caves, then we should try and head there as soon as possible. After all, we're wasting the daylight. If we've decided to help this farmer, I believe we should do so with all swiftness.
I agree. I say lead the way, Denver, and then I look around and I see that I don't see the elf anywhere, and it's like, well, where did he get off to?
I believe he was quite enamored of the healing prowess back at that garden of the gods we visited. He did say something about trying to get them to divulge some more of their healing ways. Perhaps he's lingered behind that. I'm sure he'll catch us up. He does this all the time.
Why do elves have to be so damn
I suppose
mysterious?
The elf comes and goes as the elves are known to. So let's press
Indeed,
on.
everyone knows that elves, as soon as you turn your back on them, they melt away into the trees. It's practically their reason for existing, as far as I've been able to gather over the years.
Well, that's very convenient for him. Now, let's. I say that despite that, I think that we have enough here to deal with an ogre problem. Let's head to the west and try to find those caves.
So you guys walk west for about an hour, and you see a thin trickle of black smoke coming up, maybe over another hill, possibly two.
Are we near enough to be able to get any sort of smell from the smoke? Obviously, like if it's wood burning, it'll have a very different scent to if it's like living trees.
Sure. I'll say you're going to see it probably before you're going to smell it. But if you continue to approach, you'll eventually get the smell, like a wood smell.
So yes, as we're getting a bit closer, I sniff the air and I'll say, smells like a wood smoke fire to me. I've lit a few in my time. It seems that it's certainly signs of something or someone living in that direction. I think that should probably be our first port of call. But I would advise and I realise the irony of me suggesting this. I think we should approach cautiously.
Are ogres typically in the need of fire? Do they cook?
I do know a lot, like myself, a lot of ogres will eat their food raw, but if they need warmth, the nights have been cold, they may start fires. It's difficult to tell. It would depend on the individual ogre, and not being well acquainted with them, I don't know.
Fair enough.
If anyone wants, they can make me a nature check, and I might give them some lore on ogres, if you think you might have such knowledge.
I have a 15.
They're hunter-gatherer types. They live a pretty simplistic lifestyle. They can be, have temper issues.
So I relate to what Rob has just said to you guys, but when I'm relating it, I sort of portray it in a much more positive light, if you see what I mean. Like I'll be like, oh yes, they are hunter-gatherers who have never shied away from the call of the wild, and they're true to the nature of who they are. They sometimes need to be angry, and their ferocity carries them through it, an often unforgiving environment.
Excellent. Okay, so this you figure maybe one more hill rise, and you'll be at least close enough to see. Probably, as I said, it's a thin column of pretty black smoke.
Right, so I gather everyone around and I say, I believe once we cross that rise, we will see whoever has lit that fire. I suggest we crawl up to the top of the hill, or if any of you are confident in your ability to remain unseen, we send someone to scout over the hill. Just because I believe in the purity of the wilds does not mean I wish to run straight into an ambush or a situation that we're unprepared for. Do any of you feel that you would be able to sneak up to that top of the hill unseen? I believe that myself and Snowball would be easily spotted.
At this point,
is
go
the
ahead.
shortest one. So
Yeah.
I suppose. But we are here to parley, right?
That would depend on the situation.
Since he lied about his wife, I mean, he might lie about the ogres being sheep thieves.
You did see ogre footprints, or at least large footprints, in around where some of the sheep are, but the sheep cover a couple of square miles.
Yeah. And if indeed these are, as you say, noble creatures of the wild, maybe they just take what nature gives them.
Indeed. One must always be careful, though, that the hunter does not see you as the prey. I believe it is wise to assess them first. Then if we need to make a show of strength, we can do so. But nothing is gained by our ignorance.
She gives you a very haunting sneer, like just a mere suggestion that a dragonborn would be a prey is anathema to her, and you kind of like offended her.
I completely failed to notice that at all, and then say, but if you are correct, Lyndall is I mean no disrespect, Lyndall, you are the smallest of our number. If you believe you can do this, how long do you think it would take you to head up to the top of that hill and have a little look-see?
It may take me some time, but I'm confident in my ability not to be seen. It's one of my better traits.
Very well, then. I suggest you go and have a look over the hill and then report back, and we can make a plan of action once we have more information.
Certainly.
Okay, so it's about 100 meters, 100 yards to the top of the rise.
Yeah, so he's going to first take out his hand crossbow, and he's going to load it, and he's going to kind of keep it in reach, and he's just basically going to make a slow, deliberate, but stealthy way over the hill and towards this fire.
So when you get to the top of the rise, so the fire is somewhere beyond the top of the rise. When you get to the top of the rise, are you like doing it like a crouching low, or are you? Yeah,
so he's basically, as I believe Yambergorn suggested, he's basically staying on his stomach most of the way up the hill, and then as he's kind of like getting over the crest of the hill, is only like really putting his if somebody were to notice him, would only see his white hair kind of peeking out over the top of the hill.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to make me a stealth check.
Excellent. Okay, let's see. Stealth for me is 20.
Okay, so you see, if you imagine the rolling hills, you've kind of reached like a plateau of hills, and this is like the tallest of the hills. And afterwards, the hills, again with their rolling, kind of start to descend towards the coast. On this flat rise, you see a single stone building. It's round. It's about maybe 5 feet tall, about 6 feet across, and it's made of stone walls, like stones, sort of stacked kind of stones, circular, and there's a column of black smoke coming out from it. Standing about maybe 20 feet away from the building, sort of keeping an eye on it, you see a human male. He's light brown skinned. There are also stacks of wood, just lumber around in piles, not in the area. Beyond that, you can see that the hills continue, and about an hour or more, you're going to be at the coast.
Okay, so it's a human male, and he's just does he seem to be on the lookout? Is he just kind of standing casually by?
He seems to be watching the smoke rise. His back is 3/4 to you. He's mostly looking in the other direction.
Okay, watching smoke rise. And are these piles of wood? Do they seem like a significant amount of wood, or is it like something that you would expect to see, in a wilderness, that a wilderness home would have, something like this for?
It looks like probably if maybe 2 or 3 wagon loads, like they're in heaps like that, as if a wagon load of wood was dropped off, and then another time another wagon load of wood was dropped off.
Okay. Excellent. Don't know if there's much else that Lyndall can gain by getting any closer or any more information. So he seeing that it's not ogres, he feels confident in bringing his, letting the rest of the party approach. So he's going to begin a descent back down the hill.
Sure.
So eventually you'll see Lyndall heading towards you, and walking with less care as he did approaching. And he says, "So no ogres, but I did see something unexpected. There's a human man down there next to some sort of small stone building, and from that building is coming this smoke, and there's all this wood over there, and the man seems intent on watching the smoke coming from this building, but he's no ogre as far as I can tell."
Good job. Perhaps we should ask him whether he knows anything of the ogres in the area. After all, if he lives near them, he must surely be aware of them, assuming they exist. I'll say, thinking back to the farmer's deception.
Certainly, I mean, he would have to be aware of any threats in this area if that's his home. Yeah, I say he doesn't seem like much of a threat to me. So I say that if we approach with care and just ask him, should be fine. I think I think at this point, Yambagorn, I'd say maybe perhaps stay in the back with a little bit. I don't know if a heavily armed individual is going to set the right tone for a conversation.
It's fine. You don't need to beat around the bushes, as they say. I'm well aware of the effect that my appearance can have on human minds. I will remain at the back as we approach.
Yes. There's like a pang of guilt that comes over Lyndall as he says this, and he opens his mouth to say something, and then just shakes his head, and he says, "All right, let's head that way then."
Hang on. If these humans are skittish of other races, I'm not entirely sure, but you are a human, right, Dolan?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I'm human. And no, I am not walking down into that place of danger and death.
But if humans are skittish, I mean, are you skittish of talking with the other races?
I normally don't have a problem communicating all my feelings to you.
Then you should have no problem communicating with this skittish human.
Right, but it's the danger part that I'm not a fan of. I'm sure you understand that I'm only human, then I'm easily slain.
It's just one man.
Said every man who is stabbed and killed. There's just one guy stabbing me.
You're about to approach an ogre cave. Now one man has already stopped you in your tracks?
No, my young friend. If you look over here, and he points at our massive orc, half-orc Yamagorn, he will be in front of me. That's all I need to say.
Well,
perhaps you could put your helmet on, Yamagorn, and pull that little visor, whatever thingy down, and you go talk to him. That's
not a bad idea, but I say let's just all go together, just in case. We shouldn't. If he sees that we're sees us as a threat, then he must be up to something. If not, then should be fine giving us some directions to some travelers.
Magnificent
As we were
idea.
walking forward, I put my hand on our master of the arcane's shoulder, and I just sort of smile or grimace and say, "But if you wish me to walk in front of you, I will."
Oh, please, Yamagorn. I would be so enjoyed for you to do that for me. In fact, if you want to step in front of anything that comes at me, that would be great. And I promise to do my best to stop things coming from your behind.
Good. It is settled then. And as I say that, I take out like one of my big sort of animal dung cigars, light it, and I'll start sort of heading forward with the rest of the party.
As they leave, Snowball mumbles something about just stay downwind from him. Don't stay downwind from him.
So are the four of you then going to crash this hill? Or?
But she will find a place where let's say the aroma of our half-orc friend doesn't reach her, so she will be at an angle to him.
I think you're forgetting the powers of the flowers that you've tucked into my armor.
But you also light a dun cigar.
Yeah, but you mostly smell burning, to be honest. The dung smell, because it's dried, won't be too terrible.
Okay.
See, I'm not entirely thoughtless.
All right.
To self must buy a lot of tobacco.
So the four of you crest this rise in whatever configuration you want to see. And you start walking towards this figure. So you're on, as I said, you're on the top of a large hill. The hills do keep going. As you get maybe about halfway to him, he sees you and he kind of runs over to one of the wood piles and grabs something from behind one of the wood piles. You can't see what it is because the wood pile's blocking him. And then he just stands there watching you approach.
I just hold up a hand and I say, "Do not alarm yourself. We don't mean you any harm."
All right, you're still at about 100 feet away, though. 50 yards, 150 feet, I should say.
Yeah, I'm just shouting it over to him.
Okay. Don't be alarmed!
Yeah. We mean you no harm.
Yeah, how reassuring.
Yeah, I mean, I just sort of mimic this, not necessarily shouting at the man, but just kind of I have my I just put a hand up, just sort of in a sign of greeting as we come down the hill. As we get closer, what is he just still standing there with whatever this object is?
Yeah, he's standing there. You have his entire attention. He's completely focused on you now.
All right. So
as you get closer, the smell of wood burning smoke is pretty strong.
Okay. At what point? How close do we get before I see what object is in his hand? In his hands.
You're pretty much going to have to go right up to him because you can only kind of see 3/4 of him. The wood pile is kind of blocking your view of him, so he's sort of standing at the corner of this wood pile.
Okay.
You can tell that he's a fairly, let's say, lean human, on the younger side, 20-ish, around there. He's wearing dirty clothes. They seem to be, sooty, and you can see sooty streaks and stuff on his face.
Okay. I'd say that as once we get close enough that my voice can carry, I just say my hand up again. Say, "Well met. just wait for a response.
What do you want?
We're just some travelers through these woods. We were looking for some directions.
Travelers? He looks around like there's fuck all here. What? What do you want?
Not much. May I ask what you're holding?
He hesitates. Make me a persuasion roll.
Yep. Persuasion. That is going to be a 14.
All right, so he steps out so you can see, and you can see he's holding a short sword.
Oh, okay. I tell him there's no need for any weapons. We have no ill intent here, sir. I assure you.
Well, then what do you want?
Oh, nothing nefarious. I assure you. We just need some directions. Is this your place of residence?
This is where I work. I'm making charcoal.
Oh, okay. Yes. Great.
Did you want to buy some charcoal?
Perhaps, before we get there, let me introduce myself. My name is Lyndall Wylock.
Who's that? He points at Yambagord.
Oh, that is my friend, Yambagorn. We call him Yamba. He's a good gentleman and a paladin true.
He seems big and scary.
Well, it helps when you're traveling in the wood to have somebody big and scary with you. But he's a sweetheart underneath, I assure you. And and this is my friend Snowball. And behind me is the great and illustrious Master Dolan, arcanist extraordinaire. And we're just some adventurers looking to help out the local area.
Jacob, I just sell charcoal.
That's good, Jacob. So are you aware of any caves in this area?
He points like immediately before you even finish your sentence behind him, kind of in the direction you guys were traveling.
Oh, excellent. So, have you seen any signs of ogre activity out there?
He pauses, and then he nods.
They've caused you much trouble, I'm assuming? You being out here in the forest?
No. I just stay away from them.
You're a smarter man than us, apparently. Well, I say that thank you, Jacob. We'll be on our way then, and maybe on our way back we buy some charcoal.
He nods. When you see him closer, you can see that he's really quite filthy. Lots of sooty streaks and black marks and unwashed.
Are you heading into town at all soon?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you. That's gentleman and lady. You have any need for Jacob's services? I propose we head off to the caves.
How much for your charcoal?
How much do you want?
A bag about yay big.
1 gold.
Throw him a gold piece.
From behind this same wood pile, he picks up a sack, which you can see from a pile of sacks. He goes over, and near where he's got the fire burning, but on the outside of the building, there's like a shovel, and he starts shoveling charcoal into this bag, then drags the bag over to you. Punk. Takes the coin.
If it wouldn't be too much trouble, could I pick up this charcoal on our way back past here? You obviously already have the money for it, but I don't wish to carry it up to the caves.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, unless anyone else has anything they wish to do, I believe we should press on to the caves and these ogres.
Did you see Ebb?
Yes, he's the person who asked us to look into this matter for us. Apparently his sheep's been going missing. Well,
he owes me 5 bags of charcoal.
Well, it just so happens that after we have been up to the caves and we've seen what these ogres are about, we will be going back to visit the farmer Ebb to discuss this matter. So if you wish to come with us on the way back after I picked up my charcoal, I'm sure we can settle this matter of money between the two of you.
I have to keep an eye on my charcoal, but just tell him to pay me.
How much does he owe you?
For 5 bags, 5 gold.
I give him 5 gold.
You're paying for Ebb?
Yes.
He shrugs. Okay.
Told you he was a good paladin.
Perhaps you want a receipt, Yambagorn. What's to say this man, after we leave, doesn't just go back and ask Ebb for his 5 gold again? Please, try to be a little smarter with your money. I know you apparently have it falling off trees giving gold for charcoal, but sure. Perhaps a little more thought behind it, maybe? I could be totally wrong. Lindell, I mean, perhaps...
What is this receipt you're speaking of?
I don't know either.
This isn't port withal, Master Dolan.
It's his money. That's fine.
Metal is easily acquired. It is not like it is precious or anything.
Well, if you have extra, I will hold all your gold for you. It's just, rare. Not, I guess.
What you say may be true. It may be rare, but the gold on its own does not help you survive for an evening. If you are capable of surviving yourself and getting all that you need, what do you need excess amounts of this metal for?
That is a good point, Yambagorn. I cannot take care of myself, so I probably need the gold more than you do. If you ever want to give me some, that's perfectly fine.
At which point again, I sort of like clap him on the shoulder with a giant hand, and that is why you have the rest of us here.
Right, exactly.
Well,
there's a gold mine. What? There's a gold mine.
What did you say?
There's a gold mine near Burnsley.
Near Burnsley.
Everybody knows that.
Well, that's where we're heading after here, so perhaps we'll be able to find more of this delightful metal that you prize so highly, Dolan. But anyway, we need to deal with the cave first of all. I suggest we press on.
Yes, we need to do this quickly and get back to Burnsville.
Burnsley.
Burnsley. Right, and perhaps I should write that down.
Maybe get a receipt or something along those lines.
Yes. I think we press on.
Yep.
Okay, you guys continue heading west. You can start to get a scent of the coast and see water. Now, what happens is the hills kind of gradually sort of descend, and then there's like rocky hills or a wannabe mountain range that never quite made it, and then water. When you get close enough, I'm going to just share a picture with you right now. Sure, it vanished on me, thanks. Try that. So I'm going to assume you guys are at the extreme eastern edge of this picture. And this is kind of the view you're seeing. You can see this much because it's kind of a downhill and then a bit of an uphill at the rocks. And then if you went over the rocks, you'd be in the water. If that makes sense to you.
So.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna ask. So this, so does the we get the sense that the water sort of ends in a cliffside? Is that the idea?
Yeah, but it's not like steep cliffs. It's more like kind of just rocky, gradual cliffs, I guess.
Gotcha. Okay. So, but we do. I mean, from here, I can see from this map, I can see caves, and that's we in character we can see these caves.
Yes, and you see looks like the remnants of a fire pit kind of out in front of these caves. It's sort of what gets your attention. There's a couple of piles of rocks near the entrance of these caves. Each of these hexes is about maybe 30 feet, something like that. To give you an idea.
And
So
in the part this sort of green bit these are hills leading to the
yeah, that's grassland and then grass and then less grass, like kind of scrub.
Okay, but there's still plenty of kind of hills and knolls.
Yep,
okay, great.
Yep, yeah, you guys are at the extreme eastern edge of this, and you've got better visibility now because it's downhill.
Okay, so as we start making our way over these hills towards where the caves are, given that we're now potentially nearer to where the ogres are, I'm going to be looking for any sort of tracks or any signs they might have left of their presence.
Well, you can definitely see a fire pit. You're going to have to. You don't see any. Well, I shouldn't say that. I'll have you make me a perception check. There might be.
Okay, since it's tracking, am I able to use survival?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that is only an 8.
I'll say you find some maybe old faint tracks, but nothing too recent.
Okay, so
maybe
I'll
you
point
even
them out.
find a faint paths, but not defined paths. You could just see, at some point someone walked through these grasslands and you can see grass tramped down kind of thing.
Okay, so I point out the signs of the tracks to the rest of the party, then in a slightly hushed voice I say, due to the terrain around here, it's difficult to get any more precise information. Obviously someone has been this way, but with the recent weather and the conditions, I can't really tell how many of them there may be, or perhaps if we investigate this fire pit, we might find if they have been cooking, if there are any more bones, etc., are often found in fire pits that are used for cooking. It might give us an idea of whether they have been taking all these sheep that the farmer was getting so worked up about.
I say, well, then, would you like me to go ahead again then, as I did back there? I can approach pretty much unseen.
Okay, what I'd like to do is I would like to get as near as we possibly can to the fire pit, and then, with your permission, I would like to call on Maliki's protection over you, so that if you are taken unawares or you are seen, you will at least have some additional protection against whatever might be dwelling within those caves.
I would not be opposed to any sort of protection you can offer, Yamba, and I think that forewarned is forearmed. So as much information as I can get before we burst into those caves would be helpful. So yes, I agree to this plan.
Okay, so we sort of creep as close as we can to the fires, and then sort of crouch down on a little rise nearby. Sorry, do you want to say something, Rob?
Let me just describe it for you, and then you can be more specific. So if you picture each one of these hexes about 30 feet across, a bit hilly, there's grass and grass and grass until that kind of immediate area around the caves. Then there isn't much in the way of hiding places. So you could get to within about 60 feet of the caves and still have some cover. After that, you're not going to have much cover.
Okay, well, I know the protection that I can call down on our friend is only going to last for about a minute or so. So ideally, I want to get sort of to a point, and obviously this will depend on how fast our gnomish friend Lindell can actually move. I want to sort of get within a distance where this protection at least has some chance of still being active if something does come raring out of these caves and have a go at him.
Well, you can. I'm going to let you judge it for yourself. I mean, you can take his movement into consideration and the fact that each hex is about 30 feet across. You know where cover stops. So maybe you guys could be a little bit more specific in where you're moving to. I don't need the exact hex, but just approximation.
Okay.
If everyone is moving up that way, that sort of thing. If just Lindell is going.
Okay, Lindell, how quickly do you move?
Well, short legs and all, but I could probably get within 60. We're still on the easternmost edge of the of this map. Okay.
Yeah. In game terms, you could move 1 hex per round without dashing. You could certainly dash, but you can't dash and sneak at the same time.
Okay,
Gotcha.
So what I want to do, the range of the spell I'm going to cast, I can cast it anymore within 30 feet. So my idea is that the rest of us will stop at one of the points about 60 feet away, where we've still got cover. Basically, let Lindell start wending his way forward. When he's sort of like as far as he can reasonably go, I'll then cast a spell on him, and he'll be able to like go and have a quick recce of the situation.
Okay.
Are you guys as a group sneaking up to that point? Walking up to that point?
I'm going to try and stay
like
sort of
crouching on your belly through the grass?
I'm not going to be crouching on my belly because I'm wearing like plate mail, but I'll be trying to sort of walk, and it's ridiculous, but I'll be trying to walk as softly as I can, and I'll be trying to take as much advantage of cover as I can. And like I said, I'll be stopping at a point just before like the sort of cover gives out effectively. And then that'll be the point where Lindell will like carry on his own, and I'll cast a spell on him from a distance.
Okay, is that the same for Snowball and Dolan? Are you guys doing likewise?
I am going to do as I said, stay as close to Yombergorn, but directly behind him.
Someone's just gonna follow Lindell, but stay.
All right.
Behind.
I'm going to ask.
I'm
I'm going to ask for stealth checks from everyone, then, please.
Oh, this will be good. 13.
Dolan got an 18.
17.
And a natural 20 for me.
All right. So I'm going to say at this point, you guys have snuck to about 5 hexes or so shy of the caves. Again, it's a kind of a downward, a little bit rolling still, but kind of a downward slope in there.
Right, so I'm going to wait until we move to like the very edge of the hill line on the side where the caves are before I cast the spell on Lindell.
Okay. So I'm going to have everybody make me a perception check at this point.
18.
Good.
8.
We're going to do this as a group check. Okay. 1 success, 1 fail.
A 9.
One success, 2 fails.
And a 13 for me.
Okay, so at least half the party, you guys hear sounds coming out of the cave. It's hard to describe the sounds, but like movement, scuffing of feet on ground, that kind of thing.
As soon as I hear that, I'll just like hold up my gauntleted hand for like the others to like stop, and we sort of like pause and carry on listening to see whether something's going to emerge from the caves, so hunkering down in the cover.
You wait a couple of minutes. Nothing emerges.
As while we're sitting down, anyone looking sees Dolan pull a small copper wire out of his hand, turns into a small, kind of rounds it to a circle, and he moves his lips and points towards Lindell, but nobody else. He doesn't say. You don't hear any sound, but Lindell, you will hear me say, "Is it completely important?" Whispering in the side of your ear. that if we're going to speak to these ogres, shouldn't they? Surprising them on their land seems like the wrong way to go about it.
Are ogres that talkative? I mean, are they diplomatic at all?
You see, if you look back, you see I shrug, and your whisper came to me. No one else heard that.
You do know they're capable of speech. They have, language. They're humanoid. So.
Obviously, only hearing like Lindell's side of that conversation.
Actually, Lindell he whispers back silently. Only him and I are in that single.
Oh, right, okay, cool.
Parlay.
No problem.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, I mean, I think that seeing Dolan shrug, I'm going to go to our nearest thing to an expert about this as possible, looking to Yambagorn and say, in your experience or in your knowledge at least, are ogres at all diplomatic? Can they be reasoned with, or is that a fool's errand?
They exist based on their needs. They're all hunter-gatherers. It may be possible to talk with them, but if they consider us a threat, they will most like I would myself, they will most likely react violently. It may be better, rather than sneaking up, to make a show of strength to begin any negotiations from a position of strength.
Well, what are you proposing, Dolan? Why do you ask this?
I just look puzzled at Dolan as he says, "What do you propose, Dolan?"
Yeah. Dolan kind of gets close because he wants to whisper. I am. Well, I just feel that if someone came to my front yard and all of a sudden yelled, even to communicate at all, it would be kind of upsetting. I'd be more on guard than if they announced themselves beforehand. But I mean, I grew up in a totally different place than the forest people.
All right. So, do we want to then make a show of force instead, or?
If you wish to announce us, I do not mind making the announcement. Perhaps they may respond better to me. I don't know.
I'm confident in my ability not to be seen. So,
in which case, perhaps we combine the two. I approach and announce us whilst you are looking around and seeing what information you can gather. Then hopefully their attention will be on me rather than yourself, so it would improve your chances.
I guess my reason for approaching is for us to have information so that we know what we're getting into, as opposed to trying to sneak up on them in any way. So I say wait. I say wait back. I'll go see what I can, see how many there are, if I can get numbers, and then head back here, and if we have to, we can make a show of force.
Very well, but before you go, and I sort of reach down and like dip a finger in some of like the mud and the soil at my feet, then I sort of crouch down next to Lindell and basically daub these sort of like mud, like sigils on his cheeks and his forehead. I sort of look up into the sky, put both my hands on his shoulders, and I say, Maliki, we ask you to care for us through the dark places of this world, to ensure that we are strong to survive all that nature in its glory and its power can throw at us. Look after your servant here whilst we press forward into the unknown. And as I'm reciting that, I am going to cast the spell Sanctuary on Lindell, which will last for a minute, and any creature who attempts to attack him or target him with a harmful spell must first make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, they have to choose a new target or they lose their attack or spell.
Got it. Okay, so just we're on the same page. So I'm pitching you guys around the middle of the map in the green part, and I'm assuming Lindell's going to sneak forward from there.
Yes, I'm basically gonna go into that sort of
clearing.
Yeah, I'm just gonna like make my way through this darker green bit, and I think I'm gonna try to like swing around. I'm not gonna directly approach the caves, I'm going to kind of like go towards this gray part, and then kind of sort of have my back to the rocks, to this like the caves are kind of inside, and just kind of slowly inch my way towards the mouth of this northernmost cave, and try to peer in, like kind of look.
Okay, so you're trying to get like right up to the cave then.
Yeah. I mean, eventually. Well, I'll probably first get into the clearing. Once I'm into the clearing, see what I can see, and then try to get as close as I can, and just until I can actually like. My goal is to see is to see an ogre or two, or however many there are, and get a sense of how many there are in these caves. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first of all, make me a stealth check.
Gladly.
If you go sneaking off through the grass.
Okay. So I'm going to spend a point of inspiration just to make sure that this is good.
Sure.
Good. Glad I did that. Natural 20.
All right. So you silently go sneaking off through the grass. You make your way kind of like you said, angling to the north. You're approaching the edge of these caves. You got a little bit better view of the fire pit now. You can see that a lot of it is bones. Some of it is wood. It's still about 60 feet away from you, though. So if you want to like identify the bones, you're going to need a better look than from 60 feet. So you get in position near one of these caves. I don't know how much further you want to press this. I don't want to speak for you. Are you trying to get to the point where you can like look in?
Yeah, basically the idea is that if my back is sort of to the rocks where the caves are, I'm kind of like craning my head kind of into the cave just a little bit, just so I can see.
Okay.
So I can see inside.
I'm just going to have you make a percentile roll. This is just sort of going to be a loose luck roll to see if something happens to happen now.
A percentage roll? Okay.
Yeah, just a luck roll.
Okay.
Low is unlucky.
74.
Okay, so you kind of peek your head in and get a glance in. You can see a couple of large humanoids moving in. It's not particularly light inside, but there is a suggestion of maybe torches or a campfire burning somewhere further inside. The cave seems fairly deep. It's not a shallow cave.
All right.
So I'll say you saw two humanoids, probably ogres, silhouetted, and there could well be more.
Right. Because you said that there's a source of light deeper in the cave.
Yeah, and the caves go deeper. You got the sense of that. It's not a shallow cave.
All right, then. I am going to quickly as possible dash. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to sneak, not dash, but I'm going to sneak past the opening of this cave, and try to get to the opening of the other one and look inside.
All right. I admire your boldness. Make me another stealth check.
Okay. All right. Spending my last inspiration. Good. That is a 18.
All right. You go to the next cave. You sneak past. You see that there is a pile of boulders there. You notice that the pile of boulders looks like it was, and these are small boulders, beach ball size. They look stacked there, like it's not like just natural pile of rubble or anything like that. These look like a stack of rocks a loose pile of rocks that were placed there. When you get to the second cave, it's similar on the inside as to the first one you looked at. You can see a few, 2, maybe 3 ogres in there moving about, and suggestions of light and the deeper cave system running in. From the curve that you briefly saw glancing in, the caves might join up further underground.
Okay, excellent. So at this point, then I'm going to make my way back to the party. I'm going to just slowly but sneakily make my way back.
All right. Well, I'm going to need another stealth check.
Okay. All right. That's a 15.
Okay. So if you were spotted, there's no indication. You guys wait for a time. Okay. Eventually, you see Lyndall, since you're watching for it, kind of sneak up to one cave and then to the next cave, and then disappears back into the grass, and then he's beside you.
So, we're dealing with, by my count, at least 4 to 5 ogres, at least. The caves go deeper and attach at some point. So, it's possible that there's more. It's a hefty amount of ogres.
We should be careful if this is a clan or a family group. They will fight all the harder to protect their young and their territory.
Yes, and they've got boulders, which looked rather purposeful in how they stacked them, which didn't seem friendly. So,
well, if they are a family protecting and simply seeking to feed their own with these sheep, I have no wish to smash into their home and slaughter them.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't desire that either. Yeah, but I think you are the best, honestly, to perhaps communicate, if you can, with these people. Their need. You're more acquainted with their needs and their way of life. If there is any way to make sure that they don't continue to harass Ebb and the other farmers of this settlement, then I would prefer that. I don't know if we're equipped to fight a whole clan of beasts such as this.
Well, not only that, but surely a sheep now and then shouldn't equal a death sentence.
Agreed.
I agree.
They're just trying to survive like the rest of us.
Do you wish me to step forward and announce us then?
I'll go with you.
Good. I would welcome some company. I suggest Lyndall, yourself, and our good friend Dolan. Perhaps you hang back a little until we see what their reaction is.
Agreed. And if things go sour, I think a retreat would be better than a fight. I don't know. I don't know about my abilities to fight such a large group of individuals.
No.
Well, I'm confident in my own abilities, and obviously Snowball is a warrior. I'll say, sort of looking you up and down. But you are right; they do have the advantage of numbers on their side. I believe we should.
If you will allow me, I would like to give you the mother's blessing before we go.
And who is this mother that you speak of?
That's the mother of all dragons.
Very well then. I will not turn down your blessing.
Good. And she says something in Draconic. which I cannot pronounce. And she leans in and takes his head with her hands, and she breathes in very cold air into his mouth, and kind of like forms icicle, not icicle, like a frosty layer upon his lips and his beard. I don't know if he has a beard. And she casts guidance. So it gives you a D4 you can add to any ability check of your choice. You can make it before or after, and it lasts a minute.
So sort of feeling like buoyed up by this, and with this sort of like frost collecting on my face, I nod at you, smile, revealing like the sort of like broken tusks in the bottom of my mouth, and I say, "Thank you. Shall we make our announcement then?"
We shall.
And myself and Snowball walk forward, so that basically we're on the other side of the fire pit, stood outside the caves.
Yeah. She gives Lyndall the sack with Yamagon's smelly clothes before she leaves, and walks down.
And then once we're...
I just wonder what Lynn and Lyndall are doing while you two guys bravely step forward.
I guess, Rob, what would be the distance to the center of the fire pit? A rough guesstimate for Dolan.
Right. So I'm trying to do theater of the mind, but it's also a fair question. So just think of each 30 feet across, okay? And you can go from there.
Okay, you kind of go from there. All right, no, obviously I have spells and I have ranges, so I need to know a guesstimate of whether I'm within range.
So in my theater of the mind style, if it's close enough.
Okay.
If you're in the ballpark, yes, you're in range. If you're not in the ballpark, no, you're not.
Okay, awesome. Thanks. Then with that, I will stay next to Lindell, and wherever he goes, I'll go as best I can.
Okay, so seeing those two are hunkered down, myself and Snowball stride forward. Like I say, we're pausing on the other side of the fire, outside the caves. I'll have my sword ready to draw, but I won't have it drawn yet. My shield on the other arm, and then in common, in like a very loud voice, I'm just going to shout, "Who dwells in these caves?"
Oh, okay, I'm going to respond in just a second. So, Lyndall and Dolan, are you guys hidden, or are you guys not hidden?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Aaron. Go ahead.
I don't know. I think if the idea is to show some force, I don't know. I'm not going to be very intimidating to ogres, but at this point, if he's making himself known, I don't see much of a point in hiding myself. So I'll hang back, but I'm not going to make too much of an effort to not be seen. Okay,
it's the same true. You don't.
Yeah, if I see that Lindell is just going to kind of stand in the open, I'll stand next to him. The difference is I am going to use a quick prestidigitation cantrip and make my hands sort of glow.
Okay. All right. So in response to Yamagorn's shoutout, two ogres emerge from each cave. Their eyes go wide. One of them picks up a boulder and chucks it in your direction, but it seems obvious that it's like an intentional miss. And the ogre says, "Go away."
We have been sent here by the local farmers who say that you are stealing their sheep.
So, we hungry. There's lots of them.
Yes, there are lots of them, but they belong to the farmers. How many of you need feeding? We're not here to fight you unless we have to.
I'm sorry about that, though. I had to answer the phone. Could you just repeat what you just said?
Yeah, I'm just saying, there are many of the sheep, but they belong to the farmers. How many of you are there that require feeding? We're not here to fight you unless we have to.
He looks around. He looks like a little puzzled. We are many. Go away. There are lots of sheep still. We only take a few. He picks up another boulder and makes a sort of half-hearted chuck in your direction. But again, it seems like he's intentionally missing. They are wearing clubs at their sides. You guys can also start to notice that in the caves, a few more ogres, maybe some smaller or possibly female ogres, he's seen in the shadows into the caves.
Send one of your number with us, and we will take you to the farmer, and you can sort this out.
No! Go away!
At this point, I'm going to be sort of like flicking like the sort of like the piece bond off my sword and putting it onto him.
I step forward at this point, and I say, well, the problem with that is the more sheep you eat that belong to the farmers, the more angry the farmers are going to get. And the more angry the farmers get, the more angry the people in the town are going to get in the city. And so the angrier they get, the more likely they are going to create some sort of they're more likely they will be to bring some kind of army or militia here, and that could be bad for you and your folk, and that is not it's just not safe for you. There's a lot more of them than there are of you.
So he scratches his head and is puzzling, trying to work through your logical argument. There are many animals out there we eat. Bears, wolves, sometimes sheep. They are everywhere. We don't know who owns what. We were hungry.
Who leads your tribe?
Go away. Go away. A few of the other ones are yelling.
If there was some kind of marker that you knew where their land began and ended, and you knew where the sheep should be, would that help? So you know, as long as there's no sheep beyond that marker, you cannot eat them.
So again, he seems to be struggling with the concept that you're trying to convey to him, scratching his head. He's mumbling something to one of the other ogres. We no take sheep near farm.
So what you're saying is if the farmer keeps his sheep near to the farm, you will leave them alone?
He struggles again. Then he nods. Yes, we no take sheep near farm. Everything else, we hunt. We hungry. We eat. Go away.
I'll be sort of nodding understandably to this, and I'm like, sounds fair enough.
Perhaps we want to define everything. I mean, there is a poor man making charcoal not very far from here.
That's true. I sort of whisper, like, there's nothing that's going to stop them from eating poor Jacob or anything that and what is near to the farm to them could mean right next to the building. So I don't think they have a great idea of distance and territory.
As they're saying that,
Jacob,
I'm going to take out...
structure has been there for at least a year, so you can take that into consideration.
I'm going to take out some of my rations from my pack, and I'm going to walk forward, just sort of holding them out, walking towards the ogre who's like been addressing us.
So he's pretty suspicious.
Snowball.
Like he's watching you warily. He has his hand on his club.
I'll rip off a bit and eat it myself, just to show it's not like poisoned or anything. I'll just hold out the rest of it.
I'm going to say he comes close to you, and then at the maximum of his reach, he kind of like snatches whatever you're offering out of your hand. What is it you're offering him?
It's just like the normal sort of like rations you buy, effectively. So like dried meats, etc. Traveling rations.
All right, so he sniffs, chucks in his mouth, chews for a second. Too little.
Whilst he's doing this, I'm going to be sort of having a quick look around. Are there any signs that they sort of like preserve or store their foods in any way? Or does it just sort of like they grab sheep, chuck them on the fire, nom 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 nom, happy days?
You do see some there and things like that, so they probably do some like skinning. Like they might make use of a bear fur. If they caught a bear, they would still eat the bear. But other than that, it's pretty much eat and consume kind of thing like that. Yeah. In the fire pit, you can see that there are several different kinds of bones. They all seem to be animal bones from a cursory glance.
Okay, so I'm going to say to the ogre, I'll say, what if I show you how to keep your food so you can store some? It will make it easier for your people. You will not have to hunt every day.
We have lived long time. We know how to eat. Go away.
I sort of glance back at the others as they're saying this, and I sort of almost imperceptibly like shake my head a little as a, I don't think they're getting what we're trying to say, guys.
Maybe we should mention they have to recompensate.
I think that that concept might be a little beyond them, Snowball.
Go away. Go away. So a few more, some smaller ogres perhaps are kind of trickling near the cave entrance, getting curious. Some are like picking up pebbles and small rocks and sort of chucking them in your general direction.
When you say small, do you mean like children or?
Well, children for ogres, but they might be 5 feet tall.
Yeah. I was thinking more because of, much as I'm like a tough half-orc hombre, I sort of draw the line at like going in and killing a load of kids.
Snowball will shift her spear from her right hand to the left hand, holding it within the shield, and take out a. Oh, I killed the ogres.
And then
So I'm guessing 4,000 XP each.
At least.
All right. Rob, are you back with us?
We can't hear you, Rob.
Nope. Still muted.
How about now?
Bingo.
Yes.
Yeah, that's got it.
Okay, that was weird. It wasn't showing as muted. It just kicked me out for a second. Anyway. So yeah, they look like maybe teen ogres. There's definitely some females there, but they're still staying kind of near the cave entrance or inside the caves. There are these 4 or 5 bigger male adult ogres are in between.
I look over at the others and in a sort of lower voice, I'll say, it seems to me we have 2 choices. We either attempt to massacre this clan of ogres who are just doing what they need to do to survive, or we go back to the farmer and we tell him that he needs to keep his sheep closer to his farm, which I'm sure he won't be happy with because obviously he wants to let them graze.
Snowball will get out a coin from her purse. And,
You guys saw no fences at all.
and hold it
The sheep farm.
hold it in front of her. Do you know what that says?
Money.
So you know money.
Yeah.
Yes. Sheep cost money. So if you take sheep, you have to give money.
You can't eat money.
No, but the farmer, his
Just got
sheep
you that.
cost money. So if you take the sheep, you have to pay money. If you take the
Sheep are
bear,
everywhere.
well,
We take animals and eat all time.
but you can't take sheep. So you have to pay money.
We won't take sheep near farm.
You won't take sheep at all.
The people.
So he picks up a boulder and again kind of chucks it in your direction. It's a little closer this time.
The people of listen. I'm sure that the people of Burnsley and elsewhere, they're happy for you to eat the bears and the wolves and the things that threaten them. I'm sure that they're happy for that. And maybe they can perhaps reward you with every once in a while giving you some sheep of your own.
Farmer not own all sheep. Some sheep wild. How we know?
I've never known a wild sheep in my life.
So if we were to get the farmer to mark the sheep that belong to him, then you would only eat the wild ones, is that correct?
We only eat sheep. We won't eat sheep near farm.
Snowball is kind of like putting her foot up on the boulder and looking kind of pissed.
We know we eat small sheep.
I'm guessing Lyndall knows her well enough to know it's not long before she gets too pissed and attacks.
I just say, I don't think that we're getting much of anywhere here. And I don't think that a fight would help any of us. So all I can say is that we've done our best to tell you not to eat the sheep. We cannot guarantee what happens if you eat more sheep. So, you've been warned.
You go away.
And just so you know, if more sheep are eaten, we're gonna go away fine.
Farmer not own all sheep. We get hungry.
So if the farmer puts a red mark on his sheep, would you leave those sheep alone?
Red sheep?
Yes, if you saw a red sheep, would you leave it alone?
They seem confused. What is red sheep?
Those would be the farmer's sheep. Would you leave them alone? I'll say it. As I'm talking, you can tell. Rather like Snowball, my voice is getting slightly more strained with every conversation I have to have with these ogres.
We no have red sheep. How they taste?
Horrible. They're poisonous. Why do you think you don't see any of them? Anyone who eats them dies. That's why you've not heard of them.
Roll me a deception check, please.
Okay.
I'm going to give you advantage since this guy's so dumb.
Okay, I'm quite good at deception. Okay, so that is a 19 with advantage.
We don't eat red sheep.
That's great. We just wanted to make sure that you didn't eat any red sheep.
I believe our work here is done.
Yes, so just remember, red sheep are poisonous. They'll kill you in seconds.
We know eat red sheep. We know eat sheep near farm. Go away.
We're going to go away now. Goodbye.
It was lovely speaking to you.
Go away.
And I think we're going to turn and go away.
Yep.
They watch you leave, but other than, a few little pebbles and stuff chucked your way, nothing.
Yeah, Snowball stays a little, like a brief moment after Yamagon turns around and looks very pissed at the ogre who threw the boulder. Just for a brief moment, contemplates smiting him from within, but then she bites it.
You know where he lives.
I just sort of put a hand on your shoulder as you're doing that, and I sort of nod with like a, yes, I understand. And then carry on walking past.
As we're walking away, I say, that was good thinking, Yamba. I think that they are destined to do something stupid, and I'm sure both you and Snowball will get your chance to get your revenge on those boulder chuckers, and I will. I bet that this won't be the last time that we see them, but I think that we might have slowed them down a bit.
Did
I suggest
you even consider that they don't even know the color red? You seem to be just agreeing with anything that you said. I'm just throwing it out there. They are dullards. And I wanted point of fact is to let you all know, now you know how I feel dealing with Other people.
They are hunter-gatherers. They will have seen blood. They know the color red.
Perhaps we should have said blood.
Well, if they continue to eat sheep, they've been warned, and we now know their numbers and where they are and their capabilities. So maybe we can get some help.
I mean, when you introduce too many predators into the wild, they will just continue devouring until there's no more prey left.
Well, we can look in on our way back from Burnsley, but I suggest for now we pick up my charcoal and we go and advise the farmer that he should start gathering berries to dye his sheep.
Indeed. I hope he'll corner the market on red wool, and I will continue. I guess we'll just continue back, make a pit stop at the charcoal, and head back to Ebb.
Excellent. I'm going to give everybody a point of inspiration. I very much liked how you all approach that encounter differently depending on your characters. You meet Jacob. He doesn't say too much to you. Gives you your charcoal. You move on your way. You eventually get back to where.
Well, before we leave Jacob, I just kind of mutter in passing. I say you might want to wear a little bit more red, and then we make our way back.
Okay. One thing you do notice as you get nearer the farm is that the sheep really are kind of everywhere. They're not like well penned or well corralled. They're just kind of sort of left to freely graze on any of the many hills around.
I've got far more sympathy for the ogres at the minute than I have for like this sort of like wife injuring like farm. To be perfectly honest.
You get back to the farm. You find Ebb.
I believe we've reached an agreement with the ogres.
So they ain't gonna eat my sheep no more?
I'll grab like some like red berries or something, and I'll say what you need to do is you need to take some of these and I'll like squish them in my hands so like the red juice is like running out. Mark your sheep with the colour red, and the ogres will leave them alone.
But how am I supposed to sell that? The wool will be ruined.
I suggest you look for a market for red wool.
Just fruit dye, right? I mean, it should wash right out.
I suppose.
By the time it comes to shearing, I'm sure that some berry juice will wash out just fine. But beyond that, Ebb, you also need to make sure that you're corralling these beasts a little bit better. At this point, roaming as they are, the ogres have no idea of like what is farmland and what is the wild. So perhaps
the sheep are mine. Everybody knows I got a sheep farm here.
Ogres don't care about property.
If you dye your sheep and you make all efforts to keep them as close to the farm as possible, they've said they will not attack any sheep that are near to your farm, and they will also not touch any that are marked with the colour red. So if you do that, you will not have any more trouble with ogres, and no one needs to get killed.
Well, yeah, it's certainly a lot less labor, I suppose, and trying to build all them fences and having to round up all that lumber. And all
else fails, you could always run one over with your wagon.
What?
Never mind.
But as it is, says Snowball, we've solved your ogre problem. We haven't stringed you up on the roof for driving over your wife. So let's say you're gonna get the friend discount, and it's gonna be 250 gold.
I ain't got gold. I can give you some food and some wool.
Well, I guess we could take your sheep. She looks at
what?
The window.
Well, you never said that. They're my sheep.
Have you ever heard of anyone hiring adventurers without paying adventurers?
Hiring? I just asked for your help.
That's hiring.
We've
he sees me on like the verge of panic.
We've already helped you. We've already solved your ogre problem. I have also settled your debts with the charcoal man. I'll like throw the sack of charcoal down at his feet. I suggest next time you pay your debts with more quickness.
That's true.
Well, I was gonna.
When it has now been settled, as has the ogre matter, you simply need to dye your sheep. Unless you'd rather fight a whole clan of ogres.
No, I'm real grateful for all you did. I knew ass rat people when I saw you coming up the road. I knew them adventure taps. You adventure taps, you always get stuff done. Thanks.
For coin.
I can give you some mutton.
Some mutton. I mean, when you go into Magan and sell your sheep, or you go up to Jacob and buy his charcoal, I guess you do just take the charcoal. But you understand the concept of commerce, right?
Yeah, but I didn't know I was hiring anybody. I just asked for your help, figuring you figured all big, smart, and magic-y, muscly types.
See, looks at Lynn. That is how they do it, right? The humans.
Yes, it is. But perhaps we'll be willing to overlook this matter if, when we travel through this area, you're able to provide us with food and lodgings whenever we require it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can. I got a barn, and you can sleep in, and I always got mutton around.
Then it is settled. How is your wife?
She getting better. She getting better.
I need to add something. Yambagorn, we also need a bag of fleece and some leather.
I got no leather to spare. I mean, I got a few straps, some old scraps.
Yeah, those will do.
I can't give you some wool.
Sure. Yep, just a bag.
Whatever you can.
Yeah, that seems all fair. So he takes a little time and he gathers up it's like a sack, and it's just full of like bits and pieces of leather, half broken straps, things like that. He gives you a very big, kind of tied up with twine, almost a hay bale size thing of wool.
I meant, and I hold up like a small pouch bag. I just grab some and put it in a pouch. Thank you. That's all I need. The rest is yours.
Okay. And he also gives you some wrapped up mutton.
While this is going on, I'm going to walk inside his farmhouse and see how his wife's doing.
All right. So she's sitting up in bed. I remember you came to help Eb.
That's right. How are you feeling now?
Yeah, my back's getting better. Did you deal with those nasty ogres that hurt me?
We've reached an agreement with him. You seem like the person who is more intelligent in this form. Your husband is a good man, but he seems to have a vast yawning chasm between his ears. So I will speak to you.
His father used to say that about him too.
Then your father was no doubt wise. We have agreed with the ogres that if you mark your sheep with the colour red, they will not eat them. If you do this with berries or whatever is at your disposal, it means that you should not be menaced by them any further. And if you try and keep them near to the farm, they will not prey on those near the farm. And in this way, we do not have to kill creatures that are simply doing what they need to do to survive.
I keep getting after him to build more fences, but he seems so tight with his coins.
Well, I suggest you get him to build some more fences, and then while I'm talking to her, I'm sort of looking at her wounds. If there's any way I can heal any of her remaining wounds to get her back on her feet, I will do.
It's just like a sore and bruised, just a little bit more bed rest, and she should be fine.
So I'm going to put a hand on her, and I'm going to sort of whisper to Maliki. I'm just going to use a couple of hit points of my my lay on hands just to sort of finish her healing a bit quicker, basically.
That feels better. You're like a miracle worker with them hands of yours.
It's not my power. It's the power of the wild and Maliki that flows through me. But you should at least be well. And I suggest you rein in your mate a little better.
Yeah, well, I try and talk to him. He can be thick-headed sometimes. Make sure you help yourself to some food.
We will. And I sort of turn and I start walking out. And just as I get to the door, I pause, stop, turn around and say, by the way, it wasn't an ogre that injured you. It was your husband with his cart. And I walk out.
What? Okay. So you guys are gathered downstairs outside the farm. You now have some mutton. You have some wool. You have some chunks of leather.
Should we rest here before we move on? I mean, it's bound to be good.
As you see me coming out of the farmhouse, I've got like a massive like shit-eating grin on my face, and I just say, I sit down near you guys and I say, well, I'm sure whatever we could have done to Eb is nothing to the pain and suffering his wife is going to inflict on him the next time they're alone. I think you're right, Stowe, but I think we should rest for a while and then push on to Burnsy. I think our work here is done for the moment.
Okay, you guys want to spend the night here at the farm, in the barn, away from the farm in the wild? I mean, it's up to you.
I think
we can stay in the barn. We can drink his wine and eat his.
It is up to. I will leave it up to the rest of you. I personally am happy if we wish to spend the night in the wilds. It is where I live, but I appreciate that some of you may wish to have a roof over your heads, and this wall will serve as a soft bed if that is the sort of thing you value.
Well, here's the thing. Perhaps some of us can stay in the barn, and Yamba, it might suit you well to be out there, and maybe if the ogres decide to return tonight, it might be useful to have somebody out there ready to warn us if such a event occurs.
That is a good plan. I will do so. And during the sort of rest of the night, I'm going to try and sort of oversee the farmer, like squashing these like berries and staining his sheep. And if we can find some berries that, you know, like the sort of berries you get on like bushes, well, like, if you eat them, you'll have a bit of an upset stomach, but you know they're not going to kill you. If I can find something like that he can use for the staining, so I'm thinking if a couple of ogres do get cautious and they eat them and they're like, oh, my stomach's hurting, they might think, oh yeah, shit, we were told the red sheep were poisonous, we best stay away from them.
That's a good touch. Yeah, so you do all that. You get a faint impression that the Eb's not thrilled with the current set of events, but he's going along with it, especially while you're staying around.
Eb ran his wife over with a cart, he can deal with it.
He's gonna spend some time washing Yamagorn's clothes. So if they have any soap, she will take some of that and wash his clothes, hang it to dry, so it's ready the next day.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. Yamagorn, you're a little bit surprised that this armor isn't. It seems like you should be a bit more tired from carrying around all this weight, but it's not bad. It's like kind of like lightweight but solid at the same time.
I'll be sort of looking at it, and I'll be trying to appreciate the workmanship on it, but given that I'm not really into that sort of thing, I don't really have the frame of reference to like truly appreciate it. But in the fact that it provides protection, it allows me to move freely. I am grateful for the blessings of Meliti.
Okay, so the night is going to pass.
Oh, Rob, can I do, I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go for it.
I want to. Dolan will go into the barn as he had spoke about it before, and he will pick up all the feathers that he can find. And when he sees Yamba gone before he heads off into the woods to sleep, he's going to go with him. And if he sets up camp,
I'm not actually planning on setting out into the woods. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be just in the area around the farm, just sort of like keeping an eye on it, keeping like a watch, effectively.
Oh, yeah, going to set up a camp. All right. Well, then I'll just go up to Yamagorn and Yamagorn. Perhaps I could borrow some of your time for a second.
Yes, of course. We are comrades. What do you need?
Dolan walks up to him and he holds out a handful of feathers and he says, would you be able to decipher which one of these are from owls, if any?
I am not. I do have some ways with the beasts of the wild, although the beasts of the air are not I am not that knowledgeable in them, but I will do my best. And I start sort of pouring through these feathers, see if I can find any owl feathers.
Sure, these are feathers you got in the barn.
Yeah. In his mind, he's thinking a barn owl, but I mean, it could be just all turkey feathers as far as he's concerned. So he's going to the only expert he knows since our ranger isn't here.
Well, I know that you're hoping to find an owl feather, so I'm going to give you a small chance. Roll a percentile.
31.
No, they're all just like chicken feathers.
Okay.
Maybe
I'm
small
afraid,
birds.
I'm afraid I believe these are from common fowl, domestic beasts. I do not believe there are any owl feathers here.
Oh well. Well, thank you, Yumbagorn. And I just dump the flowers on the ground and walk back towards the barn.
Not at all. If you need such a thing, I will keep an eye out in case we do see any owls. I may hear some while I'm on the night watch.
Dolan stops and slowly turns around, smiling, and he kind of nods his head. Thank you, Yumbagorn. That is most kind of you.
You are welcome.
If Dan were around, he'd no doubt make some passing reference to the owls in the forest, but not here.
So I'm just going to sort of sit myself down, get on my watch as everyone else gets ready for bed.
Yep. So the night is going to pass without incident. So you guys can have a short rest. Remember, on the gritty system, I believe this is day 3 of the week. So anything you want to do during your short rest, spending hit dice, anything that comes back after short rest that returns. Other than that, you're woken in the morning by the crowing of a rooster.
And probably me going, wake up. As they're sort of waking up, I'll have whatever like mutton or meat or whatever that's been provided for us by the farmers, I'll have just made like a small fire and I'll have like cooked a bit for them, so when they get up they've got something to eat. And I'll be like gnawing on like a leg or something that I'm eating as they get up.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So what do you guys want to do? Morning happens. You rest.
I think that I think barring any sort of ceremony, or anything happening with ebb and or flow, we will head to Burnsley. I think that's
okay.
Lyndall
okay.
is very anxious to get to town.
So is Dolan.
Okay, so you guys you guys make your way back to the road, and you start heading towards Burnsley. You estimate, Lyndall, it's about 6 hours away from here. You travel along for a few hours. You see a huge collection of you come into an area where there's a massive field after field after field of farms, and it's all like crop farms. You would probably know, at least some of you would know, that this area of farmland provides a lot of the vegetables for quite a good section of this continent, a good chunk of it. This is like the breadbasket, if you will, of Lorford, at least for the southwest. You continue on past that. You see the occasional traveler here and there who gives you a cursory greeting. At one point, when you're about a little over 2 hours outside of Burnsley, you're cresting a rise on the road, and you see up ahead, it looks like a crude roadblock of thistles and branches and small trees and things like that. You're seeing this from about 100 yards or so away. There, you can see a lot of activity there, and it seems to be goblins. And they see you approach, and they start dismantling the roadblock, or at least making a nice big hole in it as you approach.
Well, not the most subtle of creatures.
In Orcish, I'm just going to bellow out, "You, small ones, what do you do here?"
They're goblins, not orcs. I'm
just going on. They might speak Orcish. I don't know.
How close do you want to get to do? Like, do you guys want to discuss anything as you approach, or do you want to I'm just trying to picture yelling something across 100 yards isn't a great way to hold a conversation, and you might want to discuss something up to that point.
I'm just walking towards the roadblock and just like shouting at them when we get closer. How many goblins are there roughly?
Maybe a dozen.
We're on horses, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah. As I said, they've kind of dismantled the majority of this roadblock. You can easily pass through. But I'm still pitching you as about 100 yards shy of this.
I say, if this is some sort of trap, they've not done a great job of hiding it from us.
I expect it's more likely they're seeking to extort money from people who are passing on this road, and they have seen us and realised that they will not only get money, they will probably die, and therefore they've made a gap for us.
Well, I don't think that's good for the town of Burnsley to have these brigands on the road. I think that we should perhaps take care of them.
But do we know they're brigands? They might be employed by the town.
Goblins being employed by a town? That's a new concept.
Are we now then to become the defenders of all of Burnsley? Does it not have its own defenders that can deal with a smattering of malnourished goblins?
Well,
you do know that, I just want to say, government-wise, towns are pretty much independent, so they'll protect the town limits maybe a mile beyond, and beyond that, you're on your own kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm surprised, but I find myself agreeing with Yamagorn. This really isn't any concern of us.
What type of road is it? It's just like a dirt road?
Yep. But well tramped down, like wagons could travel on it. It's flat enough for that.
Well, let's ask them. I mean, if they're working for the town, then we will curtsy and move on. If they are brigands, we will say that they have to give up their ill-gotten loot.
I agree, and then I sort of like dig my feet into the stirrups on my horse and sort of spur it towards the roadblock.
So they're all like giving you a wide berth. They're watching you. They're grinning in that sort of smirky goblin way.
So as I sort of like getting sort of like near the roadblock, I'm going to slow down, and again, this time in common, I repeat and say, "What do you do here?"
Wait, no, you can go. Nothing.
And what about others who travel this road?
What about? They're all kind of
What do you
giving
do
each
to-
other sort of glances.
What do you do to them?
Nothing.
I was going to sort of like raise an eyebrow and I like lean down on my horse so my face is like a little bit closer to him, and I say, "Nothing. Are you sure?"
It's not our fault. We have to do this. Yeah.
Why do you have to do this? Someone makes you do this?
Yeah. Bugbear.
Who?
Bugbears.
Where is this? Where are these bugbears?
So, about several of the goblins point, but they point in like 3 different directions.
At which point I'm going to reach down, like grab this goblin I'm talking to by the scruff of the neck, and I just lift him up so he's like feet.
No hurt. I didn't hurt you. Why you hurt me? No, let me go. Let me go. His feet
I
are
think
kicking.
you're lying to us. I do not see any bugbears, and I sort of growl and like bare my fangs at him.
They make us. It's not our fault.
They make you do what?
You adventurers. Some of the others they're all kind of piping up, like they're all sort of talking at once kind of thing. And some of them are saying, "Yeah, you adventurers, you help. You take out bugbears. We don't have to do this anymore. You be heroes."
Where are these bugbears? I say, still holding this one up.
So again, you get like multiple directions pointing, and then they all sort of look at each other, and then all sort of point in the same direction.
What's the direction they point in?
It's kind of like off to the northeast or northwest, sorry. But as I said, at first it was multiple directions, and then it kind of became one direction.
I raise my voice at this point. There's nothing in my backstory, but I think I've decided at this point for Lyndall that has very little patience and or a like of
Seems to be a
goblins.
common theme, actually. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he has very little patience for goblins. I think that in my head as a gnome, I think in my head there's probably something in his past as a gnome that has probably had some kind of conflict with goblin.
He's been called Goblin One too many times.
Sure. Sure.
And also as an investigator has probably like dealt with them as like henchmen for bad guys. And
sure.
And
you would
and
know
he's
them
just,
to be deceptive, tricky, schemy.
Yeah. At this point, he sort of says harshly. He says, "Bugbear or not, there's nothing stopping these little fiends from taking things from people that don't belong to them."
As you say that, I drop the goblin that I'm holding. I sort of slide off the side of my horse.
Ah!
And I'm gonna draw my sword.
Run! They all kind of start taking off in different directions.
I'm just going to like scream after them. I obviously won't scream because I don't want to deafen you all, but I'm just going to scream after them. If we find you here again, we will kill you, all of you.
They're gone like kids at a frat party when the cops show up.
I'm going to finish. I'm going to finish disassembling whatever robot block they've got. Like just like knock it over and like push it to pieces. Then
okay.
I sort of sheathe my sword and climb back up on my horse.
Okay.
All right. Well, at least we know there's some bugbears that possibly the town might want taken care of. That could be a profitable venture.
I mean, I'm not an altruistic person, but perhaps you want to put a sign farther down the road in both directions, let people know that there's possibly goblins about.
Do either of you have anything to make a sign with?
All the stuff you just took apart, Yambagorn.
Oh,
yes, of course. I was too busy dismantling to pay attention.
And I have some writing implements, so we could basically just like make a post, and then we can like tack a piece of paper onto them, and I can write in the languages that I know, which would be Common, Elvish, and Dwarven, and Gnome. I'm just gonna write out in several different scripts.
What do you write?
Caution. We'll say.
Goblins.
How about beware goblins? That has a nice ring to it.
Yeah. What he said.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wish we'd thought of this earlier. We could have put one up by the farm saying, "Keep your wives safe. Beware."
Watch for clumsy wagon drivers.
Exactly.
Warning bloody-minded farmers with poor control over their wagons.
So yeah, we'll just post a couple of these notices on the road.
All right, you destroy this roadblock. You post a sign, and you press on.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you press on. Eventually, you come into Burnsley. It has one main road leading in. There's a sort of a central road that runs through it, but other than that, it meanders. There's 3 points of interest, and I'm going to give you this information because at least Lyndall and Snowball have been here before regarding Burnsley. It has a hospice. It has a gold mine, not right in the city, but near the city. And it has a very, very good livery. Many of the horses for this area come from this livery. The population of the town is about 2,000, 2,500. Yeah, so yeah, you guys come into the town. You enter this town on this wide road. You can see, people going about their business.
yeah, as we've been travelling, I've been like talking to Snowball, and I've obviously pegged as like the other warrior in the group, and I'd just be like, yes, it's remarkable for saying it is so heavy. This armour, it feels almost as light as one of those feathers that our companion had earlier. I don't understand it, but I like it.
I like it too. It's much an improvement over the furs you were wearing previously.
Each of those furs tells a tale of how I get, and I just carry on rambling about the various animals I killed to make the furs while we're like traveling.
Do you mention, Snowball, that you wash them?
I'm guessing she has given them back to him, washed and dried and neatly folded.
I sort of look at them like a bit sort of like nonplussed, and I'm like, well, thank you, but where are my clothes?
But that is your clothes.
They do not smell like my clothes.
No, but I'm sure if you put them on and wear them for a couple of years again, they will smell just like before.
Ah, good point, and I'll stuff them back into the bag.
This is you know how Lindell always seems to hobnob with people who have that sweet scent about them, like this.
Hobnob.
Yeah, that's what he calls it.
This is the strange civilized obsession with smelling as something that you are not. Exactly. I have observed this before.
Exactly.
It is puzzling to me.
So let's say these are your hobnob clothes, and you can wear them if at one point Lindell, she almost says tricks, but convinces you to go with him on one of his parties.
Very well. I will save these until Lindell asks me to hobnob.
She nods. Sounds good.
We carry on.
All right. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say, as we're sort of approaching the town proper, I mean, I know that our destination is going to be the alchemist shop, so I will direct us towards towards Bertram Welford's shop.
More specifically, he is a chirurgeon slash. He's got a bit of like apothecary skills. He's not an alchemist per se.
Oh,
He's
right.
a doctor.
Okay.
He's a surgeon.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Bertram is his name. You would also know of the main inn in the town, which is called the Golden Nest Inn. On your way there, you cross paths with a figure you've met before. You only met Bertram a little bit. Let me recall for you the circumstances of that. So you were in Burnsley. You were asked here by the mayor of the town to find his daughter. It turned out that he had thought was kidnapped or something. It turned out she had just run off to be with her girlfriend. You recounted this. He paid you, and you used discretion while doing that. You met a few individuals there. At the very end of your adventure is when you met Bertram, when he just sort of checked the girl over to make sure she wasn't hurt or anything like that, and she wasn't. One of the other people you met during that adventure was Irag, E-R-A-G. He is the Shreve, the sheriff, if you will, of Burnsley. And he's a dwarf, and he sees you as you're making your way towards the hospice where Bertram is. And he approaches you. Lindell, I see you've got a few more friends this time than the last.
Irag, it's so nice to see you. Yes, brought some friends with me. I recounted the many hospitalities of this fine town. And we may have some we may have some work that I needed their help with.
I suspect you're here to see after the other adventures that went missing.
I'm sorry, what?
At the mine. Isn't that why you're here?
Just to be clear, Rob, that wasn't in my letter, correct?
I'm sorry?
That wasn't in my letter, correct? That I got
No.
about
This is new news. This is new news.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, you got a letter from Bertram. This is the sheriff who you're talking to now.
Yeah. No, but I never received word about any adventurers missing. What happened there?
Well, Gorvas can give you more details. He runs the mine, but from what I know, the miners found something in the mines. They were skittish about it. They had some adventurers look into it. The adventurers went in there, didn't come back. The miners said something about a collapse. I thought that's why you were here. You seem to have some other adventuring types with you.
What was the name of the person that he told me to talk to?
Gorvas, Ghorvas.
Orvis. Okay.
Good sheriff. Would that be the gold mine?
Ireg. Aye.
Yeah, that's important.
I say, well, that's not our intention for being here, but we're more than happy to look into that for you. And of course, I'm sure that my who'd be contracting us? Would it be yourself or Gorbaz or?
Tis not really my issue. I mean, tis not a threat to the town as far as I know. They went in here of their own accord. I got no men to send after them. If you want to look into it, you're free to, but I'm not offering you employment or nothing. Perhaps Gorvas might have something in mind.
Doesn't the town hurt if the mine is now functioning?
Who said the mine wasn't functioning? The mine's still functioning.
I see. And you have no idea what the miners found in the mine?
As I said, you can speak to Gorvas about it. He said they found something odd that made the other miners skittish. He shrugged at you.
Fair enough. And and so Rob, what is the name of the individual who hired me the first time? The name of the mayor?
Actually, I don't have a name for him, so you can give him one if you want.
Okay, so we'll say that his name is. We'll call him.
Anyone?
Donnelly.
Okay.
And we'll say that his Donnelly the human, and his daughter's name is Coraline.
Okay. So a mayor in a town like this, it's mostly civic duty. They would collect local taxes, make town announcements, that kind of thing. There isn't really a central government that they report to.
Gotcha. I say, and how's Donnelly and his daughter doing?
Donnelly's still a fool. Caroline's fine.
And have you heard anything from Bertram recently?
What's up with Bertram? Bertram,
Nothing.
He stays pretty busy.
Understandable. I just I'd met some travelers saying that he was acting strange is all.
Well, no more than usual. He's an odd sort, but he's very smart.
Fair enough. And have you heard about any issues in the town with goblins or bugbears?
No. What have you heard?
There might have been a group of goblins that were trying to extort money on the roads leading into town.
Certainly, that I can believe. Bugbears. I've never seen a bugbear in my life.
They say that they were working for some bugbears, and
Bugbears are like goblins but bigger.
Well, I know what they are, but no, I've never seen not heard word of bugbearers around here.
And finally, what about ogres? Have any heard any tales of them?
There's some caves to the southwest. They don't bother us up here. I've got enough to do on my own in within the city.
All right. Well, I appreciate your help and welcoming us into town.
If you're looking for more rumors, you could always ask around at the Golden Nest, I suppose.
Well, we might be in town for a while, so I think that we'll definitely be going to the Golden Nest at some point. But right now, we have business to attend to elsewhere.
He gives a nod and he walks on. As I said, there's townsfolk moving about. It's getting near dusk.
Okay.
I just sort of shake my head a bit when Linda says, "Oh, we might be in town for a while." I'm sorry.
I see this and I say, well, if we do a good job, perhaps we might get out of here sooner than we think. And I lead the way to the. Well, I'm on the same horse as Snowball, but Snowball is but also another way to the hospice. So
sure,
I'm assuming, yeah.
So the hospice is a large single-story building, but it's pretty large. It's like warehouse size. To one side of it is a lawn that's, it's not terribly well kept, but it's not totally wild either. To the right is another area which has some soil which might have been a garden that never came to fruition or nobody ever bothered to plant anything in. But so it's a little bit isolated. It's a large, as I said, it's a large stone building.
All right. If there's a place that we can, do we have to leave our horses at the livery in town, or is there?
No, this livery that I speak of sells horses basically.
Okay. So,
there's certainly hitching posts near most major buildings.
Is there any common stables for the town itself?
No, there's no common stables for the town, but the inn would have some stables. Other than that, it's just hitching posts, basically.
All right. Well, I think before we head up the Golden Nest, we can hitch the horses outside the hospice for now.
Yeah, there's a trough there with water and a few bits of leaves or whatever floating in it.
Okay. So yeah. I guess we'll hitch the horses and head into the hospice.
Okay. You park your vehicles. You go into the hospice. It is it's kind of dimly lit. Like it's almost like that sort of, I don't know, depressing lighting like you might see in an old hospital kind of thing. It's sort of filtered through less than perfect windows. Adding to the atmosphere, you can hear moans and just that sort of those kind of sounds you might hear passing through a hospital. It's pretty large, like it's a very, very wide central area, and then pallets, sectioned off areas where it's like pallets and pallets and beds like that are mostly occupied, more occupied than not. Okay, Dennis. And you can see a woman tending to some of the patients, and further in the back, maybe there might be more activity. But it's a pretty big building. It's like 150 feet long, and it's with a wide section and then a couple of other sections near the back. And in each of these sections, as you look, you can see pallets with people lying in the beds. Many are elderly and infirm, and some are just hurt, maybe diseased. I don't know.
But is it a hospice kind of like where people come to be tended to while they die, or is it more like people come here to be healed?
Both. It's both.
Okay, so as we go in, I'm going to be sort of like walking around, sort of like looking at these people who are injured. If there's any that look like they might sort of like pull through on their own, I'll use some of my lay on hands healing to like speed that up. If there's any that look like naturally they would die from their injuries or it's old age, I'll leave them be because it's not my way to interfere with like the natural course of events.
All right. So as you go up to one of them and start to examine them, this woman walking about, dressed in fairly simple dress, comes over to you and she's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Do you know this person?"
I just go, shh, and then I put my hand on him and I use my lay on hands to like heal his wounds.
So she moves out as if to stop you, and then she kind of lays off and just lets you do your thing.
I don't know how many hit points worth of healing it's going to take to like heal this guy.
Well, there's lots of people that could use it. How much do you want to do?
Well, let me just check how much I have left and I'll tell you. Okay, I can heal a maximum of like 15 hit points before I take a long rest. So I'm going to try and distribute it as much as I can, but like I say, focusing on people who look like they would pull through naturally just to like speed up their recovery a bit.
Okay, so you go around playing Jesus, laying on hands and stuff like that, healing people. What are the rest of you doing while he's doing that?
Well, I'm definitely not touching any bodies. So I will stand in the dead center of the room as far away from everybody with a handkerchief on my face just waiting.
Yeah, there's like that scent in the air. Like maybe you convince yourself, or maybe it's there that you can sort of smell disease in the air.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely breathing it in. So, yeah, if it gets worse, I'm going to have to leave for sure.
Lyndall and Snowball?
She'll just follow Lendl. There's a slight pang of maybe I should do what Yabagon is doing as well, but she will refrain from doing it and keep focus on following Lendl.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm just I respect what Yamba is doing. I have nothing that I can contribute, so at this point, I'm anxious to see if I can find Bertram wandering around anywhere.
You do find him at the back, and he is sitting at a desk. It's an office, but it's an office with, it doesn't have like a wall and a door. It's sort of in like an open office that's against a wall, and he is making notes in a book when you come walking up. He's wearing like sort of a smock, I guess, that comes down just below his waist, and then pants and shoes. But you notice that the right shoe is different from the left shoe.
I come behind him as he's kind of busy in work, and I imagine I almost startled him with my voice as I say, Bertram, it's good to see you.
Lyndall, yes, you got my missive then. So he's
Yes.
about late 30s. He's got a very neatly trimmed beard, goatee, short, thin mustache, short black hair. Yes, good. You got my missive.
Yes, it was a little sparse on details. Would you like to go someplace private to speak about this?
Well, if we can do it quickly, I need to tend to my patients.
You wouldn't know where to go. Lead the way.
I suppose. Well, we can speak here. It's as good a place as any, if you wish. He looks around, but if you don't wish to speak here.
Well, no, I'm not entirely sure as to the nature of why you need my services, and normally when people need my services, it's a discreet matter. So, but if not, if you're okay to speak about it here, then I'm willing to hear it here, right here and now.
Yes. Well, I see you still have your dragonborn companion. I don't recall your name, but I remember that you were assisting Lyndall.
She just nods. Takes
So
a chair,
Yambagorn,
sideways.
okay, Yambagorn and Dolan, you guys are not joining this conversation then, because this is kind of at the back.
No, I mean, if they move forward, I'll go with them. What I'm just, Dolan will just not get as close to the injured or sick.
I got it.
For fear.
And I imagine after I've sort of like used all my lay on hands healing as much as I can, I sort of like I sit down on something looking like a little bit pale, a little bit worn out, and then I turn to the woman who was questioning me earlier, and I'll just say, the powers of Maliki that I wield are not limitless. I will have to rest before I can do so again. But if it is within my power to aid someone who nature would see recover, then I will do so. And I sort of like sit down on like a barrel or something similar.
Well, bless you and your goddess for doing what you can. Thank you. But you're joining them at the back. You're going to be part of this conversation.
I will sort of wander over, but I'll take just like a few seconds to just sort of like get my breath and sort of steady myself,
No
and I'll wander over.
No problem. So Bertram says, well, she left a few weeks ago. She was headed to see her sister, but she was supposed to be back after a week.
I'm sorry. Who is this? Who has left?
Oh, Enith, my wife.
Enith.
Yeah, she went to see her sister, Joycey. But as I said, she was supposed to be back a week ago. Perhaps she just stayed to chat. I sent a letter, but I haven't heard a response.
Where does Joycey live?
Hepplton, the halfling village. He points in a vaguely northern direction.
You said Hempleton?
Hepplton. She teaches there. It's probably nothing. She probably just stayed to chat.
Joycey teaches at the village, or Enith does?
Yes. No, Enith helps me normally. She's not here, though, to help me, and therefore I have more work to do. He's clearly annoyed by this. In any case, she's not back yet, and I could use her help back here, but perhaps she stayed to speak with her sister.
This seems like a very simple domestic matter for you to be writing me.
Well, as I said, she has been gone 2 weeks. She was supposed to be back more than a week ago, and I sent word to Joycey and Hepplton. I have not heard back from that either, so I knew you were able to help find Caroline before, so I thought perhaps you could at least help me put my mind at ease about Enith. I've got money I can pay.
Well, Hepplton is a pretty safe place, correct? I mean, the halfling village isn't in any danger, is it?
Well, not that I know of, but I mean, there are rumors of hags kidnapping halflings, but it's probably just rumors. Halflings like to tell stories.
Of who kidnapping halflings?
Hags? Did you say
Hags.
hags? No,
This is a story they tell when they're in town.
And your wife, she is a human, or?
Yes, like me, as is Joycey, her sister.
What is it?
It's just I wouldn't put any stock in that rumor. Halflings like to tell stories, but I don't know what else to suggest. Bandits on the road, perhaps? As I said, she should have been back a week ago. And why did Joycey not respond to my letter?
Has anybody from Hepplton been in the town lately?
Well, I don't ask where people are from, but there are halflings about, certainly.
All right, it's good to know. How have you been?
Busy?
You seem to be to have a bit of a reputation.
Oh, I'm very good at what I do. You can notice that his right as I said, his right shoe is different from his left shoe, and underneath his pants, his trousers, his right leg seems to be a bit of a different shape than his left leg.
Yeah, and I remember the woman from the garden mentioning that he was limping. I say, you sustained an injury since I last saw you.
Old injury. It's an old injury.
I say, then at that point I say, so how's the leg?
Still not cured. None of the priests I talked to can do anything about it. I'll find a cure someday.
What was the nature of what happened there?
It's rather personal. I'm not comfortable talking about it. My leg is deformed.
I understand. I suppose that we can look into this matter. Shouldn't be too difficult.
How much?
Rob, I have no idea of prices, but
sure. So I'll tell you this: that an average job, an average paying, not minimum, not max, an average paying job for just a simple labor job would be about 2 gold pieces per day would be the pay.
Okay. And since my skills are a little bit more specialized, and I have all these guys with me.
Yeah, this guy is definitely well off. He's very successful at what he does.
Mm-hmm. Room and board and stabling for the horses too. I mean, I wouldn't want to forget that.
It's true. We'll have to be paying for our boarding here and in Heppelton. I'd say all around, I think.
A good one night at an inn would probably be a gold piece. A good meal at a restaurant would probably be 4 or 5 silver. A good bottle of wine would probably be about 5 silver.
All right. I tell him it's going to be okay. I'll just ask you, Rob. What if I proposed like
think like detectives where they say so much a day plus time and expenses kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm thinking. I'm just once again with like how special. I'm just trying to think like with how special my services are. So,
well, if you ask for 1,000 gold a day, that would be ridiculous.
Right. So I mean,
don't forget you have a master of the arcane with you. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, is like 100 gold too much to ask like a day or?
How I don't know. Do you feel like haggling? Are you going right to your bottom line? It's up to you.
Yeah. I guess I'll open with say, well, it's considering the team that I've put together here. They're all very specialized. So
you feel you need all these people to find my wife?
Yeah. You think that you don't, but you never know. And believe me, many hands make light work. So, which is good for you because it means that we'll be done soon enough. I say perhaps 150 gold a day plus expenses.
I didn't intend to hire the entire team. Make me a persuasion roll.
Yeah. All right. That will be a 16.
I'll give you 100 gold a day, but if it goes more than 5 days, I won't give you a penny more.
Well, now more than 5 days. What if something happens and we can't get word to you? Obviously,
well, you better bring me results. Let's say I expect results within 5 days. Some sort of progress.
All right.
Half up front.
Yes, I think that
100 gold per day.
100 gold per day, and
Yes.
if you could, we get say that you put down a retainer of
100 gold.
100 gold today.
Yes.
That should
Come see me. If in 24 hours you have not solved this, I will give you another 100 gold. But as I said, you are being well paid, and you're supposed to be an expert. And I trust that you are. So
you pay
I
for
expect
quality
results.
services. Indeed.
Very well.
All right. So
he's going to open a drawer, and he's going to take out a pouch, and he's going to count out 10 platinum coins, and give them to you.
Gotcha.
I imagine at this point, as he's counting out the money, it's like chinking down, just like the smile on like Dolan's face is like getting like wider and wider.
Yeah, and I mean, just out of curiosity, Rob, Dolan would kind of, I mean, was the bag big or small? I mean, not that I would ever steal. I'm just saying.
Right. So it was like a small coffer, and he opened it up, and he reached in and pulled out 10 coins. There's definitely more coins in there. It's about, I don't know, it was about yay big.
And I say, Master Dolan here will of course be taking care of marking down any expenses we may come across in our journey, and in 5 days or whenever we collect payment, we will make sure that you have a full account of all expenses made.
Very well. I trust you. You're a professional.
Of course, I would never think of to cheat any of my clients.
Well, if there's nothing further, and he gets up and he starts walking towards his patients. He walks with an odd gait, like obviously one of his legs is off.
I just 1 second, Master Bertram. Has there been any arguments or conflicts between you and your wife in the past, the days leading up to this trip?
His eyes sort of narrow. Nothing of concern.
Nothing of you say nothing of concern, and everybody thinks there's nothing of concern when it comes to these things. But in my line of work, everything is of concern, the smallest details. Now, I know that this is personal, and this is a very private matter. But if I'm to find your wife, if I'm to help you, I need to know everything.
My work is important to me. My wife thinks I devote too much time to it. She wanted some time with her sister.
I see. So that
I'm not asking you to force her back here against her will. Just find her. I need to know she's okay.
All right. That is perfectly acceptable. Is there a message you would like us to take to Enith if we happen to find her? When we find her?
Just try and find out when she's coming back. I could use her help around here. It's very busy.
All right. Thank you. And we may need to do some investigating in the town before we head up to Heppleton, but we will keep things as discreet as possible.
Of course.
All right. Thank you so much. And if we need anything, we will come to you. We assume that you're here day and night.
I'm here most of the time, and when I'm not here, you can find me at my home, and it's just 3 houses down. He points to the left.
Thank you. I'm assuming that there's probably some kind of like informal writing up of a contract, and like, we have like a piece of paper that formalizes everything.
If you insist on one, there is, but he doesn't offer one.
All right, I'll write it up. I think that's, and I'll have Master Dolan be a witness, and we'll just do a little bit of paperwork and leave it at that. And then as we're making our way out, and I see that Bertram goes back to his being busy, I'm going to speak to the lady who is working there with him.
Yes, she is a nurse. Her name is Tura. She's an elderly, I shouldn't say elderly. She's about late 40s, early 50s. She's got straight, graying hair. It's in a tight ponytail that's sort of tucked inside her clothing. She's wearing a dress with a collar that goes right high up on her neck.
All right, I go to Tura, you said?
Yes.
And I'm assuming that I've met her in my last time here.
Might have seen her. I don't know if you spoke to her, but you might have.
All right. I come to her and I say, Mistress Tura, I believe.
Are you hurt?
No. My companion here, the one who seemed to be assisting.
Yes.
He's a member of my party, and we have been contracted by your employer. And
yes.
Are you aware of the situation?
Nope. I tried to keep my nose out of things.
Fair enough. I would like to ask you.
I'm just going to say your passive insight. That's a bit evasive.
All right.
You know, when
that's
she answers
fine.
That.
All right. I say, yes, I understand you're a very dedicated worker, as I can see. But let's be honest. You're probably here putting in as much hours as your employer here, and I know things get heard and seen. And tell me, was there anything strange that happened before Enith left?
What do you mean strange?
Just out of the normal. Anything you noticed? Perhaps an argument? Perhaps maybe her acting strange at all? Something that she did out of the ordinary?
She looks down at the ground. She says, "Nothing I've not seen before."
All right, Dennis. It's a good plan with you, man.
Yeah, try and we'll go for about another hour. Try and watch the last hour when you get a chance, Dennis.
Yeah, I will. Take care, guys.
Cool.
Right.
Cool. Okay.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that, Rob?
So you asked her if she'd seen anything strange, if she'd seen Enith acting oddly, if she'd seen anything unusual, and she looks down at the ground and says, "Nothing I've not seen before."
Just from my own sort of intuition, I read that as evasive behavior and not keeping eye contact. And the fact that she's looking at the ground, I use as an advantage of being as short as I am, and I kind of get into her line of sight as she's looking at as I look up to her with my big gnome puppy eyes, and I say, well, surely you must have noticed something. I heard that there might have been an argument, or...
I'm going to have you make a persuasion roll.
Natural 20.
All right. She says, "Mr. Welfare is a good employer. He works hard, and he expects everyone to work hard, including Enith. Sometimes I think he sees her. No, it is not my place to say."
So
she goes tight-lipped.
So it's possible that she might have been working a little too hard.
Mr. Welfare expects everyone to work hard. He works hard. He is dedicated. He expects the same from all of us. I have no
I
complaints.
understand. No, I don't imagine you do. But I'll be in town. We'll be in town for at least through until tomorrow morning. We'll be staying at the Golden Nest. If you can think of anything at all, please do not hesitate to contact us. We very much want to help your employer here. He was of great help to me in the affair with Coraline. So I believe
He
him to
actually
be
wasn't, but you can tell her that.
Oh, okay.
At the end, he just said, "Yeah, she's okay. You did all
Okay.
the work."
All right, I'll tell her that, and
Yeah.
I say, but I know him to be a good man. At least he seems to have his heart in the right place.
So she refuses. She tries to avoid rather making eye contact. Very good. I must get back to my patients.
All right. As we're leaving, unless anybody wants to do anything in the hospice, I sort of say as the door closes behind us, she's holding back something.
Well, she clearly doesn't want to upset her employer. After all, he's the one who pays her job.
It's true. And I think that she has a bit of devotion to him. But perhaps if she finds us, if we find her in a more neutral territory, we can get her in say a little bit more. Though I don't know what she would know about anything happening in Heppleton. So I think that at this point we head to the Golden Nest.
It's as I said, it's dusk, so you're probably going to want to procure rooms for the night anyway, unless you want to sleep in the wild again.
Correct.
No, I'm done with the wild thing.
Well, I'm afraid if it involves paying with metal, I gave the last of my metal to the charcoal man.
Oh, don't worry, we got sufficient metal.
So the Golden Nest is a typical inn for these kind of towns. It seems warm and inviting, but at the same time, there's that pervasive smell of beer or booze, at least in the place. Too many wood fires, like the walls are stained with wood smoke, that sort of thing. The Golden Nest is run by Yato, a male gnome, who is, when you guys walk in, he steps out from behind the counter and comes up to you with a big smile on his face. Greetings, welcome to the Golden Nest. You look familiar.
Yes. I was in town not long ago, assisting the mayor. My name is Lyndall Wylock.
Yeah. I'm Yato. Please have a seat. What can I get you?
My companions here are in the need of lodgings for the night, place to keep their horses.
Yes.
Some food and drink, of course, and perhaps a bit of information.
He smiles again, even wider. Yes. Well, lots to talk about in here. Get a seat, get comfortable. I'll get your drinks and food, and then maybe we can talk.
Indeed.
The place is starting to fill up. You can see it's about that time. It's about supper time. People are filing in and stuff like that. There's at least one other assistant going around, also a gnome going around.
So I'm gonna find a table and I sort of sit down like a bit gingerly at first, given the fact that this establishment's owned by a gnome. I sort of sit down like testing my weight on the furniture a little bit before I lower my full weight onto it. And then after it's finished creaking, I like kick out a chair for each of my companions.
In many of these towns, this is a multi-racial land. So there are chairs of different sizes. There are chairs designed to accommodate bigger humanoids, up to a point. and smaller humanoids as well, like halflings and gnomes and dwarves and things like that. So you can certainly find appropriate chairs.
Yeah, I'll sit in one of the larger chairs, and then I'll like push like 2 sort of tinier chairs out for my 2 companions.
Okay, so Yato disappears to get some food and drink for you, and you'll be back in a moment.
Yeah, so what is our next move?
Well, I'd like to get some information, perhaps about Enith and Bertram. What I can. Again, like I said, whatever's happening is probably happening in the village, but it's there's always the chance that the truth is a little closer to home with these matters. Ergo, the incident with Flo into Ebb, where it's not as much ogres as it is an accident with a cart. So, just want to make sure that we don't have an ebb and flow situation here before we head out, and maybe we can get some information about some other work as well. As I suspect, this seems like a very simple domestic matter, so perhaps getting information about that mine and helping there could be could make this trip a little bit more worth all of your whiles, since you've come up all this way for what seems to be a pretty standard case.
Dolan sits down, placing, as he usually does, his handkerchief onto the seat, and then sets himself, brushing his clothing down. I feel that it's in our best interest to just get there and come back from Appleton and come back and then deal with the mine situation. I don't really care what his reasoning is or what he may have or have not done to her. We get paid either way, so the more time we spend on it, the less we get. As long as it comes out to 5 days and we're back here, I'm happy.
I agree.
Oh, I certainly agree. I don't want to drag this out longer than it has to, especially when it comes to people missing. In my experience, the longer that you wait, the worse things can get, and it's already been a week that she's not responded. So not going to make too much of a point of poking around here. But if there's any place where there's information, it's here at the Golden Nest.
Yaller comes back. He brings you some local wine. He puts down some cheese. Basically just a hunk of cheese, like 3/4 of a wheel, and a small knife. And I'll get you some proper supper. Yes. Good. You having a good time? Yes. Enjoy the wine. And he's gone again. He's mingling a little bit with some of the other customers, and then
yeah. I delight myself in the wine, and I look around. Well, actually, before he leaves, I'd like to just stop him for a second and say, so any chance that Gorvis or any of the other miners come in here after working?
Sure. Gorvis is in here most nights.
Great. Can't wait to see him. And
he gives you a ridiculously wide smile.
And when you have the chance, after you've taken care of your other customers, I'd like to speak to you for a bit.
Of course. Yep. Busy time right now, but yes, happy to talk always. Yeah, certainly. You're all welcome here.
Thank you.
He goes off again and keeping busy. As I said, more people are filing in. Most of the tables fill. And the other gnome, another male, he's going around. He's the waiter, if you will. Eventually, you're brought out a meal of stew, mostly with lots and lots of vegetables and some side vegetables, and also a loaf of bread for the table, one loaf for the table.
So between like scoffing bread and like this stew, I sort of look over to Lyndall and I say, Lyndall, is it normal for your people to be quite so happy?
I think so. We're people of joy. On most occasions.
I'll let you make an insight check here, in Lyndall.
Sure. Great. That would be insight, which is wisdom. That would be a 15.
Yato is happier than most halflings, you know.
Is he a halfling or is he a gnome?
He's a gnome, but halflings are known to be like the happiest race.
Okay.
And Yato is happier than most halflings you've met.
It just seems to me, Lyndall, that most of the other people we've seen in this town are they look normal. They have their woes, their cares, their worries, whereas this Yato seems extremely happy since we have met him. It seems odd to me.
This is true. He seems to be in quite a good mood, though. Perhaps he's gotten a bit of good news, or perhaps he sees a bunch of travelers who are willing to spend some coin. I'll once I have a chance to speak with him, I'll get a bit of a better idea of what he's about. But for my Rob, when I was in town last, was Yato of the same disposition?
Yep. Almost giddy.
I say, this is also how he was when I saw him last. So he could just be of a very positive disposition.
I sort of furrow my brows, though. That idea had never even occurred to me. And then just nod.
He comes back to your table after a time, cleaning up your meal. How was the food? Was it good? Good food? Yes. Oh, you were looking for Gorvis. He's sitting over there. If you want to speak to him. Very busy, very busy. I hope you're all doing great.
You seem to be doing great, Yato.
Always, of course. Why wouldn't I be?
Oh, no reason. Just
more wine then?
You always got a good smile on your face. Of course, more wine and
yes.
And whatever Gorvis is drinking.
And he brings out 3 keys, and they're I guess 5 keys. And they're like iron keys, and they have a shape on them, but it's not like a letter or a symbol. It's just kind of like to just make them distinguishable from each other.
Okay. So thank you, and whatever Gorvis likes to drink, put one on my tab.
Oh, okay. As I said, he's over there. The dwarf with the big red beard. He can speak to him if you like. He's approachable. Well, I'm busy. I'll get your wine.
Thank you.
He's kind of off again. He's just full of energy.
Yeah. I approach Gorvis.
Gorvis is sitting with another. Gorvis is a dwarf, and he's sitting with another dwarf, and they're both like a little bit dirty. That sort of after physical labor kind of dirty you might be, but nothing even approaching what Jacob was.
Okay.
They're both drinking out of big flagons.
I raise a hand to him, and I put a drink on his table, and I say, "Well met,
stranger. But what's it all about?"
I say, "Well, hello. My name is Lyndall Wylock, and I'm you could say I'm a man of adventure. Come here with a few friends in town."
He looks over and sees him sit at the table. I did not think you were the regular working types.
It's true. Very true. Listen, I heard that you had some difficulty over at the mine.
Well, that I so much.
Yes.
You planning on getting involved? You and your adventurer friends?
Well, the way that it is, we've been contracted to do something else in town, but and we may have to go up to Appleton for some time. But on our way back, we could perhaps help you out with this issue.
Well, he looks at his friend. He stands up. Gorvis actually stands up, picks up his mug, and drags his table like over to where the other table is. Lets it go. Goes back, grabs his chair, plunks down, sits down with his mug. Well, let's discuss it then.
All right. So again, Lyndall, and this is Master Dolan, Arcanist Extraordinaire, and there's over there is Master Yambagorn, a devoted paladin to the goddess Maliki, and my friend and constant companion Snowball here. There's also another among our number, I think, hasn't shown himself in a bit, but we're all very well equipped for anything that you might have to tell us.
Name's Gorvis. This is Zenfree. He helps me with the mine. This other affair of yours you're looking into, is it pressing? Because I'm wondering if my business might not be more pressing.
Well, we could, we have time, if you're so inclined. It depends on how we think we can how we think we can fit it into our schedule.
Well, let me tell you what I know, and you can decide for yourself. 'Tis not me and my own. The miners, the workers, we're fine. But I'm not so sure about them other types that went in there. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. So, about a week ago, we were down in the mines, exploring some new veins, as we often do, and we uncovered something. It seemed to be perhaps some old temple? He shrugs. All I know is there was some symbolism there that some of the miners seemed pretty afeard of and didn't want to bother with. And certainly there seemed no sign of any gold ore down there, so they didn't pursue it. But, they can be a suspicious lot, and they were bothering me. So I asked some adventurer types to look into it. I've got a friend, sort of, who's an adventurer type. I asked him to look into it. They went in there, and shortly after it collapsed. The opening we'd uncovered. It did not seem unstable. I'm not sure what made it collapse. But if they're still in there trapped, I didn't know how much time they have. That was 2 days ago.
I say, well, it's possible that could be a little bit more urgent if there's if people's lives are in danger. Do you recall these symbols at all? I looked at him. I looked to
Zenfree. He looks over at Zenfree. Zenfree, you have a piece of paper? Something I can draw on?
Yes, I slide him some paper and.
So he spends a little bit of time drawing something. It's obviously cruder than this, but this is basically what he draws for you.
I look to the more mystical members of my party.
Would I know if that has any religious significance?
Yeah, I'm going to have you make me a religion check. And I'm going to give you advantage on the roll, Yambagorn. Dolan, if you feel that you might know what this religious symbol is, if you feel it's in your background, you can make a religion roll as well.
Okay, it's 19 for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Dolan would only if he immediately sees that it's not something that has an arcane presence. I mean, you know what? It doesn't matter.
I'll say, Dolan, you know that it's probably a religious symbol, and that's about it. Yamagorn, you would recognize this as the symbol of Bashaba, which is a goddess of trickery.
Okay, so I'm sort of looking at this crude drawing he's done. Then I glance over at Lyndall and Dola, and I say, it is a crude drawing, but I believe this is a symbol of one of the old goddesses of trickery and deception, Bashaba.
Well, that's
I did not recognize the symbol. I never thought it was much of it, but apparently some of the miners recognize it, and they were afeard of going in. And well, it was under the pressure from them. I wanted to keep the mine going, and we mined elsewhere, but they insisted I have someone look into it. Bad luck and all that. So I got some adventurer types, and they went in there, and you know the rest.
So the miners and you have no capability of opening that entrance again.
I didn't wanna. Who knows? We didn't know what made it collapse in the first place. It seemed very strange that it did. It looked stable to us. They went in there.
If we wanted to go in to investigate, could you open the way?
Oh, I imagine it would take several days of excavation, but I suspect there's another way in if you're interested.
Can I just jump in real good, dwarf? So you sent an adventuring group in there, and then there was an avalanche. Perhaps Bashaba herself had something to do with that. But what is weird to me is that you did not set up a rescue. Why would you not go down there to try to rescue them? Perhaps they're trapped on the other side.
Perhaps, if you wish, if you're volunteering your services, feel free. But I didn't know what made that happen in the first place. And I'm not for risking my men and losing more in there for something I cannot even identify the cause of.
I think what Master Dolan is suggesting, that if we were going to go into this obviously very dangerous situation that has potentially already claimed the lives of several adventurers, that he would be expecting some sort of adequate payment.
Aye, if you can go in there and, well, if you can placate my miners so they'll stop worrying about it, look into it, find out what it is, what happened, we'll shut it off permanently, which is what I wanted to do, then I could give you some gold. As I say, I think there may be another way in.
Tell us about that.
I have to show you, but basically, I think there may be an underground tunnel that's flooded that will lead there. But the adventurer types, they just walked in the opening we exposed. And as I said, after a short time...
I say, I don't know much about underground. How long do you think they'd have under there?
Well, if there's air, they've got as long as there's food and water. I didn't know what the state of their supplies was.
Assuming they weren't injured by the collapse, of course.
It's true. Well, we're on a bit of a schedule. We've only got 5 days to deal with something that I'm also already contracted to do, but if there are people's lives in danger, and we have the ability to help, I feel bad about delaying that.
Well, as I say, if you can solve the problem and so I could get my miners back to work without the constant worrying about whatever this is, then I'll chuck some gold your way, yes.
I'm, in all due respect, I'm a little bit more worried about the safety of those adventurers than the peace of mind of your minders. No offense, but
Hi, that too.
um,
Look, there's a lot of people's jobs that are depending upon that mine.
the gold mine is very profitable to a town.
So good to work. For solving this, you would say that you'd give us a good amount of gold. But if that decision that was cleared of any situation would probably be worth more to you, if that was the case, that it happened to be clear, because that's going to help you, right?
If you can solve all me problems with this, I'm sure we can come to some agreement.
Dolan turns to Linda with his eyes wide, kind of like...
All right, I look to the others and I say, well, we can certainly try.
Yep, agreed.
I will say that if I think that it's going to take more time than we have with our other matter, then we may have to leave. And that's...
Look, meet me at the mines tomorrow. I'll lead you down there. It's about an hour's walk to get to where we got to go in there. After that, I didn't ken how deep it goes.
Fair enough. We'll show up to the mine tomorrow and we'll take a look at it.
Grand.
Well, enjoy your evening, Master Gorvis. I don't suppose you knew you know at all. You're acquainted with Enith or Bertram.
Enith. Well, everyone knows the doctor in town.
Any heard anything about her or
Her? The
Yeah.
doctor's a man.
Enith?
Enith? Who's Enith? Oh, his wife. Oh, I didn't really know her.
Fair enough. Enjoy your evening. We'll see you in the morrow.
As you say that, I'm just going to sort of like butt in character, and I'll be like, so the doctor and his wife, they were happy then?
I don't know. He's a good doctor. I never found him a particularly friendly sort to speak to, but he seems to know what he's doing.
We'll see you tomorrow then.
Okay. He goes back to drinking with the Zenfree. Yano eventually comes and asks you to settle up. So for the meal, the wine, the room, and breakfast, it's going to be 15 silver or gold and a half each.
All right. I mean, I'm going to take care of the expenses for this. So there's 4 of us, gold and a half each. All right. So I will pay the 6 gold.
Okay. Is there anything you guys want to accomplish this evening?
I'd like to talk to Yato.
Sure. Yep, Yato's about.
All right. I say, as I'm settling up and I have his attention and he's not like wandering off, I say,
grinning widely as usual.
So Yato, I'm sure that you have your ear to the ground when it comes to a lot of the gossip in town and whatnot.
That's a funny way of putting it. Ear to the ground, more ear to the air. But yes, there's lots of talking goes on in here. Can't help but overhear things.
Of course. And tell me, have you heard much about Bertram and his wife Enith?
What do you want to know?
Oh, do they seem? Have you heard anything about maybe any fights or conflicts between them?
They don't come in here much. Bertram's a tough sort. He very dedicated. He almost never smiles. Actually, I don't think I've ever seen him smile. I just think he expects everyone to be like him. You know, I think people should cheer up more. Yes, it'd be better if everyone smiled more, don't you think?
I suppose.
He looks at Yamagorn, and then he kind of looks away.
What?
So, and Enith, she doesn't come here at all. She's.
Well, I wouldn't say never. I mean, I've seen them in here a few times, but you know, when you see them, I wouldn't say they're a happy couple. You know, I've seen people. I don't think they're a happy couple.
All right, and
you know, I'm not trying to start any rumors. You know, it's other people do that. I don't do that.
It is that's fine. Is Enith from around these parts? Her and her sister Joycey.
Oh, well, I know Joycey used to live here, and she moved to Appleton to teach. I don't know where he is from. Port Withal, maybe? He shrugs.
Do you know anything about Joycey as when she was here?
No. No, I mean, other than she lived here.
Fair enough. What do you know of Appleton?
Oh, Halfling Village. I like it. I don't get to go there often. I have to keep running this place, but halflings are happy people. I like hanging around with halflings. They there's a nice lake up there. They get some very good fresh fish. I buy them sometimes.
You're a very happy person, Yalto.
Yeah, well, I mean, why wouldn't I be?
No, nothing. It's just I admire it. You're happier than the usual sort.
Good. I think everyone should be more like me.
Were you always this happy?
I think so. Oh no, I don't remember how happy I was when I was before. I don't know.
Fair enough.
It's a funny question.
Yeah, well, you know, it's just you really stick out, Yato, and I think that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Good. Well, you know, if you're happy, you have an atmosphere in the place, and people like that more, and they stay longer. I want to make people feel welcome and happy when they're here.
Did you make the adventurers that were through here earlier happy? You make them feel welcome? Were they a welcoming sort?
They had a meal, not like those orcs that were here. Ooh, nasty sorts.
Orcs?
Yeah, a few weeks ago, there was orcs through here. Quite a few of them. It was a little bit... Well, I wasn't scared, but some of the townsfolk seemed nervous. They behaved themselves, though. Really quiet types, though. He looks at Yamagor and he says, I don't really like orcs. He's okay. He seems a nice sort, but they just seem so, I don't know, sullen. Soldier type, you know. You know the type.
What do you mean, sullen?
Well, they smile even less than you do. They just liked talking and drinking a little and yelling a lot.
Oh,
just not happy types.
These were orcs, not half-orcs.
Oh, no, not like him. These were full-on orcs. There was about 24 of them.
Rob, that would
They
be...
took up many of my chairs.
That would be strange for there to be orcs coming through, like, a town and, like, not ransacking
Yes.
it, correct?
Well, the ransacking part, I mean, depends on kind of who you want to believe on orcs. Definitely unusual.
Okay.
Well, there's a good reason the rest of the townsfolk were nervous and things like that. But as I said, they didn't, according to him anyway, they didn't seem to cause any harm. They just came here, drilled, and moved on.
24 orcs in town.
Yeah. Yes, well armed, all of them too.
Which
Definitely
direction
soldier
were they,
types. Mhm.
What direction were they headed when they left?
Well, they had several wagons with them, which they left, but they came from, I think, Port Withal, and they went northwest, northeast. That's it. North.
Rob, remind me what direction Heppleton is?
So Heppleton's northwest of you.
Okay.
The road that leaves here runs northeast, and then it kind of splits, goes northeast and northwest. And if you keep going east in a long ways, eventually you'd start to get to forested land, more wild lands, perhaps orc lands.
Gotcha.
Denver would.
Nobody heard anything as to where they were headed or what their intentions were?
Nobody felt like talking to them very much. I can't say I blame them. They weren't particularly forthcoming. I tried to be charming, but they didn't seem to want to talk a lot.
It's not our way to share things about ourselves unless we wish them to be known.
Good drinkers, though. They paid with real gold. Good as anyone else's.
Interesting. Well, but again, the adventurers that were here for a night. Do you remember who they were? What they what?
There were 4 of them.
Okay.
There were 4 of them in total.
Do you recall?
There were no gnomes.
Okay.
One was a female. I can't remember the exact details. Maybe Gorvis would know.
That's a good point.
I know there were 4 of them. They took 4 rooms.
Excellent. Well, how long have you been in town, Yalto?
Well, I've lived here all my life.
Do you recall any? Were there ever any worship of anything? Any dealings with any sort of cults around here in the past?
Cults? No, we wouldn't have nothing to do with cults. We're just simple folk here. Miners, farmers, travelers. Lots of horses. Lots of people come here to buy horses. If you need a horse, you should see Arrakis. He's got a very good livery.
I believe it. And is there a temple in town or any sort of religious...
Yes. There are so many of the gods. We have a rather... It's a bit unusual, but it's rather a group church. Most worshippers are allowed to speak there, say the peace to their gods. Most of us believe in many of them, follow many.
Is there any particular priests in town, or?
Yes. Sometimes true too. There's many worshiping types. People believe to different degrees. People are devoted different amounts. Sometimes we have guest speakers, sometimes not.
And those religious types, they would be probably staying by that church or in that church?
I suppose so, yeah.
Thank you. Well, I think that's...
Good. This has been delightful.
Yes, if there's anything else you think that I should know, I'd be glad to perhaps compensate you for any information you might have.
Oh no, you're a good. You're a patron. I'm happy to share what I know. I mean, I don't tell secrets. I'm not a gossiping type.
Well, but if you ever thought that you heard something that...
Sure, just ask.
All right. Well, any other things that you think a group of adventurers might want to know around town before we head out?
Well, I don't know. I'm not really an adventuring sort. There's certainly interesting places in the world, isn't there?
That's true. Well, Yalto, unless any of my friends have anything to ask you, Dolan, Yamba, I'm...
If you want more wine or food, the kitchen's open all night.
Excellent. And, yeah, I leave him to it.
So he gets up and... Go ahead.
If that's all for the evening, I said... No, I'm stuck to the other...
Okay, he skips away.
If that's all the business we have here, I suggest we rest up since we're heading to the mine in the morning.
I'd agree.
I know I could certainly use some rest.
Yes.
All right. The evening passes without incident. You guys sleep in simple but comfortable rooms. One bed per room. These rooms are much bigger than like dorm rooms, but there's a little table and a little bowl of a little basin rather of water, and a clean bed. In the morning, you're having breakfast. While you're having breakfast in the inn, a woman approaches your table that you recognize. You probably don't know her name, but you recognize her as one of the herbalists, one of the gardeners at the Garden of the Gods, where you helped out. She approaches you. She says, "Oh, I see you're in town. I should say to you, someone was asking about you."
Who was that?
Well, I don't know. It was a tiefling. He was asking about him in particular. He points to Dolan. I'm not sure how he knew that you were at the garden, but he asked if some adventurers were around, and of course we all told him about how you saved that little girl. That was so good, and he wanted to know where you headed. I said, Burnside, I hope that was okay.
I don't know, Master Dolan. Is it okay?
I do not know any tieflings at all, so I'm assuming it's fine. Perhaps someone owes me money and they want to give it to me.
I'm sure.
He said he wanted to speak to you on an urgent matter. Well, I'm sure he'll be around Burnsley soon enough. See him. Anyway, I just thought I'd pass it along. Thanks again for helping.
Thank you for the information.
You are welcome.
All right, so yeah, she goes back to what she's doing. You guys finish breakfast, and then you are you heading toward the gold mine then?
Mm-hmm.
So the gold mine's about a half a mile east of town. When you get there, you can see it's like a bit of a quarry type, where there's 3 or 4 different entrances. There's a few wagons and carts there. One of the tunnels even has like rails with like a mining cart. And you see Gorvis there, who leads you down into the tunnels. He takes you through some, unless you want to speak to him, if you want to do something, jump in. But otherwise, he leads you down into the tunnels. Go ahead.
I would just like to get a sort of a rundown of who the adventurers were. And some just like basic descriptions, or like what their race was, what they, maybe if they had any names that he picked up on.
Okay, I think this might be a good break point. We're almost at the 4-hour mark, and this might be a good break point.
Yeah,
anyway,
I agree.
Before we start a new kind of little arc there.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
so I'm going to say thanks to all my players. Thank you to anyone watching. I think the next game, I'll have to check with Andre, but I think the next game you said June 9th. I got that right? I don't
Thank you
know.
very much for
I will
running it.
post it anyway. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to podcast. I'm happy to chat for a few minutes afterwards. Bye.